Chapter 199, Betrayal, 7. Ah, it's been a while, Senior. We met briefly before, didn't we? It seems Hong Guk recognizes me as well. So, that's why Hong Guk didn't tell Gurion about Seo Huiol taking Baek Nyang away. At first, I thought I saw it wrong. But upon further reflection, the projection technique used by the Grand Prince at that time appeared to be very similar, almost identical, to that used by the heavenly fiends of the Bloodine realm. I know this very well, having fought against them. I see. Cheon Riang smiles slyly. This is our chance to make that Seo Huiol withdraw from that absurd naming project when he returns. The Celestial Dog race, to which Cheon Riang belongs, is one of the races that disliked having their names managed by the True Dragon Alliance. Among them, Cheon Riang particularly despises Seo Huiol, who subtly swayed them to support the naming project, even more than the 13 major clans directly conducting these tasks. He wishes to see Seo Huiol fall from grace and never return to the political arena. I am well aware of Cheon Riang's dislike for Seo Huiol, and I also know the situation well as I was there with Hong Guk at the time. Hong Guk's testimony is very likely to be true. No, it is almost certain that the technique Seo Huiol used to summon his projection by sacrificing his kin was indeed from the Bloodine realm. The situation is different from when I was the only witness. I had no influence for my words to be taken seriously when I alone was the sole witness. But now, with Cheon Riang, an elder of the Celestial Dog race, Hong Guk is a witness, and Seo Huiol's opposition putting all their efforts into proclaiming his connection to the Bloodine realm, it can politically damage Seo Huiol significantly. Good. There's no downside for me, whether it fails or succeeds. Just shouting that Seo Huiol is a spy is enough. If it fails, the mere fact that Seo Huiol is tormented by such slander due to his status as a lower realm descendant of the Black Dragon clan's side branch, the Sea Dragon race, gives me a pretext to push for his marriage. If it succeeds, pushing him as a spy of the Bloodine realm can erase his influence within the Earth tribe. Given Seo Huiol's stature, even if he's proclaimed a spy from the Bloodine realm, they'd likely make him swear never to contact the Bloodine realm again and then place him under house arrest. After all, a 4-axis stage is a valuable asset. Either way, it's the outcome I desire. Good. However, as much as you dislike Seo Huiol, a single witness's testimony won't have much influence. So, do you have any evidence? Cultivator Hong. At my question, Hong Guk nods solemnly. The projection technique used by the heavenly fiends of the Bloodine realm leaves an impact on the Earth. It's not certain, but perhaps if we revisit that Long Spirit farm, we might find evidence. Good. Order someone to collect evidence. However, just as Cheon Riang is about to signal someone, Hong Guk cautiously speaks up. The reason I haven't deliberately collected evidence from the Long Spirit farm until now is partly because I thought a dragon race Grand Prince wouldn't do such a thing, but also because the traces of the heavenly fiend's projection technique disappear easily when exposed to spiritual energy fluctuations, so I dared not investigate myself. In other words, bringing evidence will be difficult. We need to go and verify it ourselves. Is that what you're saying? At Cheon Riang's words, Hong Guk nods. This makes me feel a bit troubled, whereas Cheon Riang seems thrilled, sticking out his tongue and panting. Excellent. Then let's gather all members of the opposition and head to that farm. If we all verify it, that should suffice. However, as he energetically shouts this, I sigh softly. That seems problematic. Have you forgotten? The Long Spirit farm Hong Guk mentioned is a territory bestowed by the True Dragon Alliance to the Ark controlling envoy Gurion. Taking a bit of soil as evidence might be fine. But for all members of the opposition, both nascent soul and heavenly being stage cultivators, to swarm there for evidence? What do you think the Ark controlling envoy would say to that? Especially when you know the relationship between the Ark controlling envoy and Seo Huiol. I see. I was short-sighted. Let's make time later, just the two of us, to quietly verify the evidence. It would obviously be problematic if everyone from the opposition faction were to go, but it should be fine for just Cheon Riang and I to go and check. Thus, we decided to find a suitable time when Gurion would be occupied with her duties as Ark controlling envoy to search for evidence on the farm. And a month has passed since I told Cheon Riang to go with me to find evidence of Seo Huiol's involvement with the Bloodine realm. From today for the next 7 nights, Senior Gu will be organizing spatial rifts at the lowest floor of the Serving Command Arkansas. Tomorrow, she will be immersed in repairing spatial rifts, so it will be the perfect time for Cheon Riang and me to visit her farm. Just then, as I am contemplating, twang, a familiar sound of a zither echoes from behind me. I turn around, startled yet smiling. It's been a while, Yuhua. Have you been well? Suddenly appearing behind me is Yuhua, the half-human half-spider from the Heart tribe. Your mastery of the record of transcending cultivation and exhausting martial arts has improved significantly. The foundation was so preposterously intricate and detailed that it was easy to learn. Your talent must have played a part. So what brings you here? It's about my disciple. A bitter expression crosses Yua's face. I've undone all the brainwashing that the sea dragon had placed on my disciple. I also succeeded in dispersing the self-hypnosis that arose due to the sea dragon's guidance. However, my disciple says that the sea dragon promised him many things. She continues her explanation. Great living conditions for the white goat race, rights as the ruling class, his treatment, the treatment of his mountain-repelling whip, and numerous rights that Baek Nyong was promised would be granted to not just him, but the entire white goat tribe. That's why he was self-hypnotized into thinking the sea dragon was a great being. Did he fall for Seo Huiol because of those privileges? Not just that. What Baek Nyong wants is, Yua's words flow on. Do you know of Hong Guk, the boar demon beast? I'm aware. Somehow, I've been hearing that boar's name quite a lot lately. Hong Guk, during his time as the overseer of the Long Spirit Farm, had ordered Baek Nyong to whip his own elderly parents. Eventually, Baek Nyong's parents passed away by his own hands, following Hong Guk's orders. Seo Huiol promised Baek Nyong that he would allow him to kill Hong Guk in the most brutal way possible. She continues. Baek Nyong said that if I, in place of Seo Huiol, can tear Hong Guk apart, he will completely let go of his feelings for Seo Huiol. So you've come because of Hong Guk? Yes. Seeking my help for revenge? Indeed. Then, I gaze into the void, focusing on the faint flow of consciousness streaming through the air. Why didn't you tell me directly with your own mouth? Startled by my words, Yua flinches, and soon after, Baek Nyong emerges from the void. It seems your understanding of the record of transcending cultivation and exhausting martial arts is much inferior to your master's. Even someone at the nascent soul stage would have noticed. Baek Nyong is silent for a moment, then looks at Yua, then back at me. I intended to tell you myself, but my master prevented me. I look at Yua and ask, so you didn't trust me? I do trust you, but the situation is concerning. She gives a bitter smile. I know you've been in contact with Seo Huiol's opposition faction, and they need Hong Guk. That's correct. So, thinking you might turn against us since you also need Hong Guk, I had prepared my disciple for an escape if necessary. It seems that was unnecessary. Just with the time you and I have spent learning the record of transcending cultivation and exhausting martial arts, there's a difference. Naturally, teaching that guy the record would obviously make him full of holes in my eyes. My oversight. I look at the master-disciple pair and ponder over what to do about Hong Guk. I acknowledge the grudge between Hong Guk and Baek Nyong. However, we need him now. Baek Nyong clenches his fists in frustration. However, after going to the farm to secure evidence of Seo Huiol's involvement with the Blood-Ean realm and submitting it to the True Dragon Alliance Elder Council, Hong Guk's usefulness will end. I'll arrange for Baek Nyong to meet Hong Guk alone afterwards. My suggestion brightens Yua's face. Baek Nyong's intent also calms down. Thank you. Thank you. Yua and Baek Nyong thanks me in turn. Yua asks in a bright voice. So, Hong Guk's usefulness ends tomorrow, you say? No, not tomorrow. Tomorrow, Cheon Riang and I will go to the farm to look for the connection between Seo Huiol and the Blood-Ean realm, and once that's confirmed, we will submit it to the True Dragon Alliance Elder Council. Yes. That's when Yua interrupts me with a puzzled voice. Right now, a heavenly being stage demon beast named Cheon Riang, leading all members of the opposition faction, is flying towards Gurion's farm with Hong Guk at the forefront. Aren't they trying to secure Seo Huiol's weakness? Exclamation point. Startled, I quickly stand up and inject spiritual power into the communication artifact connected to Cheon Riang. Wawoom. But the artifact vibrates for a moment before the communication is dispersed by the other side. Damn it. I told them to be careful. Today is the day Gurion enters the lowest level of serving command arc. Given her nature, once she starts her duties as the arc controlling envoy, she tends to get absorbed in her work and forgets about everything else after a day. However, a day hasn't passed yet, and if something happens in her territory, she could come out of the serving command arc to check. These idiots, I'm sorry I can't entertain you as guests, but I have to go to Gurion's farm for a bit. I leave the office of the arc controlling envoy's assistant in the serving command arc and soar into the sky. Yua and Baek Nyong also rise beside me. Swoosh. Yua transforms into a crimson river, engulfing Baek Nyong, and soars into the air, camouflaging their presence with the record of transcending cultivation and exhausting martial arts. Let us accompany you. Since we're asking for your help, if there's anything we can do in this matter, we'll assist. Well, do as you please. Let's talk while we're on the way. Whoosh. I rapidly rise, utilizing flying escape technique, the gliding technique of the demon race, and all sorts of methods to traverse the void. Whoosh. Before long, it's night. In the middle of the night, Gurion's territory and the Long Spirit cotton farm began to come into view beyond the mountain range. TSSSSSS. The cotton of the long spirit wood flower is shining white even under the moonlight, as if ablaze. And far off, at a corner of the cotton farm, a tremendously chaotic scene is unfolding. Kugugugugu! Exclamation point. I am shocked by the scene. The place where Seo Huiol had previously conducted the projection technique through the bodies of sea dragon race warriors. The ground there, along with the dragon vein running through it, is being pulled up. A part of the long spirit cotton farm is being extracted in its entirety. An area of about 2 to 3 li of the cotton field is being lifted into the sky, and around it, demon races of nascent soul and heavenly being stages are circulating heaven and earth spiritual energy, lifting the cotton field. What madness is this? I scream at Qion Riang, who is at the center of it all, my face pale with anger. Didn't I say Senior Gu enters today? I told you that we should come and investigate tomorrow. Not only did you come without me, but you also brought all these nascent soul stage and above demon cultivators. And what are you doing to Senior Gu's farm? To my words, Qion Riang crosses his arms and shakes his head calmly. I'm sorry, Cultivator Seo, but your method is too cautious. What? Moreover, I acknowledge that you helped unite our Seo Huiol opposition faction, but there are concerns within our faction about following your plans blindly, given your status as the ARC controlling envoy's assistant. What are you talking about? Every demon beast knows about the relationship between the ARC controlling envoy and Seo Huiol. Considering you, Seo Unhyun, are the ship controlling envoy's assistant and closely associated with Seo Huiol, executing your plan directly was deemed risky. What in the world? Fine, then what do you intend to do with Gurian's farm? Not Qion Riang, but Hong Guk responds to my question. There is definitely evidence in the ARC controlling envoy's farm of Seo Huiol using the Blood-Een Realms techniques. But if we just take the evidence to the True Dragon Alliance Elder Council, it will disappear due to the nature of the Blood-Een Realms projection technique and spiritual energy fluctuations. Therefore, we decided to take this entire area and submit it to the council. Huh. Senior Gu is currently in the lowest level of the Serving Command Arc, and you're planning to take this to the Serving Command Arc. Qion Riang shakes his head at that. No. We will not take it to the Serving Command Arkansas. Senior Gu's farm will be transported to the Tiger Race territory. The Supreme Tiger Race will lead the investigation into this matter, and the True Dragon Alliance Elder Council will also convene in the Tiger Race territory this time. Exclamation point. Choosing the Tiger Race territory, of all places, which has the worst relationship with the Dragon Race. Was this influenced by the Tiger Race from the start? Not exactly. Knowing that the Seo Huiol opposition faction was forming, the Tiger Race, eager to tarnish the Dragon Race's honor, approached us. So, according to his words, this is no longer just my fight. It has become a political struggle between the Tiger and Dragon Races. This is not bad. Thinking about it, it isn't necessarily bad for this matter to shift towards the Tiger Race. If the Tiger Race, which are on bad terms with the Dragon Race, wants to strike at the Dragon Race in any way, they will surely concoct the fact that Seo Huiol is related to the Blood-Een realm. It can be an opportunity to more definitively bring down Seo Huiol. However, alright, but it's too reckless. What if Senior Gu notices? Ha, we too have our sources. The ARC controlling envoy has already started repairing the spatial rifts in the lowest level of the Serving Command Arc. No, why didn't you trust my information? I work right beside Senior Gu. We have to wait until tomorrow. That's why it's hard to believe. We needed to act swiftly on our end too. I heard that once the ARC controlling envoy starts focusing on repairing spatial rifts, she becomes so engrossed that she doesn't notice anything else outside. Damn it, that's not the issue. I press my throbbing head and sigh. Damn, I don't know anymore. Do as you wish. But now that things have come to this, move the farm to the Tiger Race territory as quickly as possible. We were about to do that. No need to rush us. I feel a surge of anger looking at Qion Riang, who still wears a calm expression after causing such a mess. Senior Gu might have already noticed by now because of you all. We're in a hurry, so we must handle this swiftly. What are you doing? Hurry and move the evidence to the Tiger Race. Why are you so silent? Be behind. At that moment, I feel a chill run down my spine. Seo Unhyun. A familiar voice calls out. As I slowly turn around, there is a small spatial rift, no bigger than a palm. But through that palm-sized crack, familiar golden pupils are starting at us. What did you just say? And what is this situation now? Are these not the ones who have recently formed the Seo Huiol opposition faction and blatantly slander him? Why are you with such people? And my farm, what about it? What do you mean by moving it to the Tiger Race territory? For a while, silence lingers among us. Then, through the gap of silence, I clench my teeth and yell. What are you doing, you idiots? If you've already messed it up, at least do what you've started properly. Move it. Only then do the startled heavenly being staged demon races of the opposition faction come to their senses and hastily start using their demon abilities to transport Gurion's farm towards the tiger race territory. Kagugugu. An immense killing intent flows from Gurion. You lot, what in the world is happening here? You will have to explain yourselves clearly. ZZZT, ZZZT, ZZT. Feeling the murderous intent enveloping my entire body, I climb atop the moving cotton field and use all my strength to increase the speed of the cotton field with my spells. Inject all your spiritual energy with full force. Senior Gyu will be chasing us soon. No, isn't Senior Gyu a 4-axis stage cultivator? Even if she's at the grand perfection of the 4-axis stage, considering she tore open a spatial rift from inside the serving command arc to her domain, it will take a considerable amount of time to tear through space and chase us with such distance. You idiots. Senior Gyu is no longer just a 4-axis stage cultivator. What? I urgently shout upon seeing the immense energy swelling up behind us. She has already begun heaven and earth unity, advancing into the integration stage. Do you now understand why I said we should proceed tomorrow? Senior Gyu mentioned she might go into secluded cultivation in the lowest level starting tomorrow after repairing the spatial rifts. I scream at these demon beasts who foolishly messed up without listening to me. What's coming after us isn't just a peak 4-axis stage. It's a quasi-integration stage, Demon King. Chapter 200, Betrayal, 8. Kagugugu. On a night illuminated with a bright, full moon. Kagugugu. On that particularly bright night, a massive chunk of land is soaring through the sky. Upon this chunk of land, numerous long spiritwood flowers are blossoming in the moonlight, emitting spiritual energy as they glow white. And above this field of cotton, we are infusing the chunk of land with spiritual energy, keeping it afloat in the void as we fly. Among us, there is shouting and arguing. No, why didn't you say from the start that Senior Gyu is in the midst of entering the integration stage? She said she would inform us tomorrow whether she would fully enter seclusion or not, and it wasn't confirmed. If you hadn't distrusted me and made this foolish mistake, none of this would have been an issue. But tearing each other down wasn't going to solve anything. Flash. A flash of light bursts behind us. A golden ray grazes over us, narrowly missing. Chills. Feeling the hairs on my back stand up, I pour even more spiritual energy into the farm, hastening our flight. From afar, from behind, Gurion is exhaling her breath towards us. The thickness and precision of the beam she exhales seems to grow thicker and sharper as time passes. The reason is simple. The spatial rift is nearly open. Once the spatial rift fully opens, a quasi-integration stage golden dragon beyond the 4-axis stage will come flying. There are no 4-axis stage cultivators here. The majority are at the heavenly being stage, with Qion Riang, the highest in cultivation, only being at grand perfection of the heavenly being stage, not even at the 4-axis stage. Damn it, what do we do now? This is all your fault, you half-wit dragon race scum. Just shut up for a moment. Clutching my throbbing head, I push Qion Riang aside and plunge my hands into the ground. Avoiding the area where Xiao Huiol's involvement with the Blood-Ean realm is evident, I start infusing the entire landmass with spiritual energy. Kagugugu. Following the formulas of thousand lustrous forest sea, the roots of the long spiritwood flowers dig deep into the earth. Beneath the surface, the roots of the flowers form circuits reminiscent of the Mad Lord, embedding deeply into the soil. In half a moment, I can transform this landmass into a flying artifact capable of high speed. What? Buy me half a moment. Senior Gyu will descend upon us soon. Damn, understood. Qion Riang, biting his lip as if realizing there is no way out, commands the opposition faction to gather heaven and earth spiritual energy towards where Gurion is firing her beams. Sweating profusely, I hurry to convert the clumps of earth into a flying artifact. Kagugugu. Simultaneously, a terrifying wave of spiritual energy roars from behind. A golden light flickers in the distance as if ablaze. Gurion has finally succeeded in crossing the spatial rift from the lowest layer of the serving command arc to reach us. Stop right there. Seeing, at her command, from thousands of li away, the entire heaven and earth spiritual energy ripples and halts the chunk of land flying through the void. However, as Qion Riang and the other heavenly being demons attack in all directions, manipulating the heaven and earth spiritual energy, the chunk of land begins to move again. Flash. Far away, the golden light flickers again. As I am transforming the entire landmass, I glance back momentarily. Wawoom. Within golden twilight, a gold-colored silkworm-like creature raises its body from a place that must be about 3,000 li, approximately 1,242 kilometers, away. I've already distanced myself several thousand li from Senior Gyu, and I'm still seeing something like a caterpillar? No, it's not a caterpillar. That is. Qion Riang urgently shouts. Quick! The arc-controlling envoy is chasing after us in her true form. Everyone, Muster all your strength. It's Gurion's true form. Flash. Once again, a golden beam shoots towards us. This time, it neither brushes past us nor is its thickness ambiguous. A beam thick enough to encompass the entire cotton plantation of about 3 li in diameter is shot precisely at our location. Qion Riang and heavenly being stage demon beasts hastily create barriers with all their might, infusing the ground with spiritual energy to increase their speed. The golden light arrives right behind us, spewing brightness as if to engulf us all. And the next moment, modification complete. The cotton plantation moves, and the land beneath it transforms. The chunks of land move at my will, and through the roots of the flowers, taking on a shape. It's the face of General Seo. Soon after, the landmass holding the cotton field transforms into the giant head of General Seo and begins to fly through the sky. General Seo, evade. Flash. The landmass, transformed into the head of General Seo, nimbly evades Gurion's breath, allowing us to avoid being obliterated by her ray in one strike. Everyone, move to the positions I designate. Having transformed the entire chunk of land into a flying form of General Seo in a short time, I point out where to infuse spiritual energy, urging the nascent soul stage cultivators. The nascent soul stage demons follow my command, infusing energy into their respective areas, and the head of General Seo blazes through the night sky with its gaze alight. Simultaneously, the glowing worm-like entity moves from thousands of li away. Gurion is in pursuit. Qion Riang. When the beam flies towards us, tell me the direction to evade. I yell frantically at Qion Riang, who then responds. Evade to the northwest. Heavenly being demons, raise the barrier. Following Qion Riang's commands, I turn the head northwest, and the heavenly being stage demons gather heaven and earth spiritual energy to erect barriers again. Once again, the golden beam barely misses the barriers set up by the demon beasts. Since it merely grazes by, the only burden on the heavenly being stage demons is the aftermath. However, even the aftermath of the beam emitted by Gurion is enough to completely collapse the formation and barriers of the heavenly being stage demons. The Supreme Tiger Race is located to the north of the True Dragon Alliance. The remaining distance is about 6,000 li. If only we can reach there in time. Light bursts from the back of General Seo's head, and we gradually speed up. But gradually, the size of that caterpillar is growing larger. To the true north, heavenly beings set up barriers. Again, I turn the head to the true north and repel Gurion's attack. On that moonlit night, I exert all my strength to flee from Gurion, managing to deflect her assault. However, as expected, the difference in our realms ends everything. Kagugugu. The gap between us, previously spanning thousands of li, closes in an instant. Her massive dragon body, the size of a small mountain range, suddenly blocks our path. Huh. I let out a hollow laugh, and Qion Riang too wears a look of resignation. Kagugugu. Gurion, having scrutinized us solemnly in her true form for a moment, transforms back into her human form and appears at the center of the cotton farm. Seo Eunhyun, and all of you. Her stern golden pupils skin everyone. What exactly are you doing? She is tremendously furious. Her vertically slit pupils tremble with rage, and the heaven and earth spiritual energy vibrating around her signals imminent danger. Damn it. It's over. Tell Gurion that Seo Huiol was associated with the Bloodine realm? She will never believe it. Qion Riang asks me with a trembling voice. See you, Cultivator Seo, what should we do? If we tell the truth that we initiated this to eliminate a threat for the Earth tribe, perhaps we might receive some consideration. What nonsense is this? It's unbelievable. No, there is a possibility she might believe it. If Qion Riang and I had carefully secured the evidence and then gone through the proper procedures to have Gurion verify it, she couldn't have ignored it. Gurion loves Seo Huiol, but the fact that Seo Huiol is colluding with the Bloodine realm makes him a public enemy of the Bright Cold realm, forcing her to acknowledge it with tears in her eyes. But what is this? This foolish Qion Riang had trespassed on Gurion's private property without permission, attempting to steal her property and take it to the tiger race, which is not on good terms with the dragon race, and got caught in the act. To say in this situation that Seo Huiol is related to the Bloodine realm, and that's why we were extracting evidence from Gurion's private property to bring it to the tiger race. As if Gurion would believe that. TSK. Currently, Gurion has transformed into her human form, but her entire body is covered with golden scales, making her look more like a snake person than a human. Her teeth are also protruding, and her pupils are slit vertically, showing her murderous intent. The antlers sprouting from her forehead shine more brilliantly than ever, emitting golden light. She is extremely enraged, and when Qion Riang asks me, her gaze turns towards me. Damn dog. Even if the Qion Riang right now will be different from the Qion Riang in the next cycle, I still feel the urge to split his head in two if I can go back. Seo Eunhyun. Yes. I trusted you. I used you as the liaison between the Grand Prince and me, entrusted you with the duties of my assistant as the ARC controlling envoy, and even supported your cultivation. I trusted you. Duh. To that extent, there seems to be a profound sense of betrayal in her eyes. The greatest betrayals come from the most trusted individuals. Seeing the look in her eyes, I realize I can't make any excuses. Let's admit it. No excuses. Gurion had shown considerable favor towards me until now. In front of her, I have no desire to wag my tongue. And what follows is beyond my imagination. Explain the situation. Her vertical pupils focus on me. I have trusted you until now, so I will trust you once more. Explain the situation properly. If it is a plausible explanation, I will believe you. Even if this is the last time we see each other, I will trust you once, so speak. Duh. Truly, she is a shining being in a different sense from Azure Tiger Saint. Despite her terrifying appearance, covered in scales and emitting a fierce, murderous aura, I see in her a thread of trust towards me that she hasn't yet let go of. I'm sorry. I apologize to her inwardly. Until now, I had been plotting against Seo Huiol using her. But maybe she wasn't someone to be used in such struggles. I suddenly feel ashamed of myself for manipulating and deceiving her. Yeah, let's confess. About Seo Huiol, from the beginning to the end. Despite showing such an unbelievable side of myself, her willingness to trust me one last time makes me rather disclose the truth openly. We undertook this action to investigate Grand Prince Seo. Grand Prince Seo? Grand Prince Seo is in fact. And just as I am about to reveal the truth about Seo Huiol. In fact what? Tap, tap. A chilly grip, friendly yet firm, pats my shoulder from behind. Chills. Why so soon? Wearing a blue long robe and sporting jade-colored horns, a beautiful young man emerges from behind me, stroking my head. What? Why? Why is it that this moment feels more terrifying and chilling than when I was being pursued by the Mad Lord in a previous cycle? Seo Huiol has returned. And Gurion hastily begins to touch her face. The scales that had fully emerged on her face recedes, transforming her back into her complete human form. She, with a flushed face, asks Seo Huiol. You came back quickly. Last time you sent a letter to Seo Eunhyun, it said it will take a couple decades more. There seems to be a misunderstanding. Could it be that Seo Eunhyun somehow tampered with the letter? No, that's not it. Seo Huiol smiles gently and embraces Gurion. From the beginning, I never left for another middle realm. Plop. In the next moment, Seo Huiol's hand pierces through Gurion's heart. It's a sad truth, senior, but Seo Huiol continues to speak while tenderly stroking Gurion with his other hand. If I were to honestly tell you one thing, I have never once spoken the truth in front of senior. What? From the beginning, I never left the True Dragon Alliance's territory. I stayed at the Black Dragon King's residence and completed my cultivation. Gurion trembles in incomprehension, and Seo Huiol turns to me and smiles faintly. And in fact, secretly, without senior's knowledge, I sent a clone to the lower realm through the Serving Command Arc's lowest level because I was worried about you. Puff. Seo Huiol withdraws his hand from Gurion's heart and approaches me. It was truly surprising. From the traps left in the Sea Dragon Palace, to my dear Seo Ran, and the Serving Command Palace, and the Black Castle, everything was smashed to pieces. Even the watchdog I had painstakingly raised to find out it was all destroyed by your hands. Now then, as Seo Huiol slowly approaches me. Seo Huiol you. From behind Seo Huiol, exerting a pressure akin to the integration stage, Gurion gets up while regenerating her heart. Why to me? And in the next moment, crack. Seo Huiol grabs her and slams her to the ground. Crash. A rain of blood showers on the cotton field. Blood spurts from Gurion's body, dyeing everything around. The once white cotton field turns red. Crunch. Seo Huiol, with a sinister smile, stomps on Gurion's neck with his foot. Gurion seems to attempt resistance, but somehow she fails to push Seo Huiol away. Do you, Senior Gyu, who has accumulated power through the Heterodox Axis Foundation and has not even reached the integration stage, really hope to resist me, who built up the Orthodox Axis Foundation? You. How? I've already gone through all the Axis Foundation rituals in the lower realm, just like I faced the heavenly tribulation in advance. Although I couldn't properly accumulate the Axis due to the lack of spiritual energy, it was easy to do so under the Black Dragon King with the help of Ms. Haiseo. From Seo Huiol, the aura of the 4-axis stage grand perfection is felt. However, the oppressive aura he emits is more than that of ordinary integration stage grand cultivators. Seo Huiol was definitely not merely at the grand perfection 4-axis stage even after 1,000 years. He was merely hiding his true skills after reclaiming the title Sea Dragon King 1,000 years later. He was, at the very least, an entity at the integration stage. Co Huil gives me a cold smile. In the Sea Dragon Palace, the Serving Command Palace, the Black Castle, and the Ascension Path, I had already performed all the rituals in advance. There was no need to foolishly gather the 5 elements. The reason why heterodox methods flourish is due to a lack of understanding in building the axes with the 4 divine beasts and 4 directions as the 4 axes. Co Huil walks towards me again after stepping on Gurion's neck for a while. Just as the 5 middle realms symbolize the 5 blessings and not the 5 elements, the axes to be built in the 4-axis stage also correspond to them. Crack. Co Huil's grip lifts me by the neck. I try to resist, but Co Huil in front of me emits an aura akin to that of an integration stage cultivator. Nether Ghost signifies longevity. Purple gold is wealth. Ancient force is health. True devil is love of virtue. There's no need to gather the energy that becomes the axis power from the 5 elements. If you properly understand the symbols of the 4 middle realms and build the proper orthodox axis with the approach of understanding before breakthrough, it doesn't take that long. His tone seems probing, as if asking if I knew it too. Of course, this method too can only be attempted by someone who has walked that path once before. Crunch. Co Huil, with his sharp vertical pupils, presses closer and asks me. Reaching the nascent soul stage in just 7 years, it never made sense to me no matter how much I thought about it. After visiting the lower realm, it became clear. You're not a genius. You must have fallen from that realm, or perhaps from an even higher 1 inch. Co Huil, still with his kind smile, asks me, who exactly are you, Taoist Co? Chapter 201, Betrayal 9. How did this happen? First, let's organize the situation. My eyes don't move. Neither does my consciousness. I use the method that amplified my senses during my days as a first-rate martial artist to explore my surroundings. From behind me, I hear the footsteps of Hong Guk. Sir Co Huil, I've done everything you asked. I see. I had used Hong Guk to find a connection between Co Huil and the Bloodine realm. But, from the start, Hong Guk had been recruited by Co Huil. I thought he was on a trip elsewhere, but he was actually under the Black Dragon King all along. I thought he was just at the early stage of the 4-axis, but he had already gone through all the Axis Foundation rituals in the lower realm and just needed to accumulate spiritual energy, and he sneaked into the lowest level of the Serving Command arc, avoiding Gurion's eyes. How many of the words and actions this guy spouts are not lies? I listened to the breathing and heartbeats of Qion Riang and the other Co Huil opposition faction demon beasts, thinking. Except for Hong Guk, the others aren't on Co Huil's side. The situation is becoming a bit clearer. Meeting Hong Guk was where it all went wrong. Qion Riang wasn't the one making the idiotic decision to drag Gurion's farm to the tiger race at this time. Hong Guk must have been egging Qion Riang on from the side. And Co Huil could have wiped us out even before Gurion arrived if he wanted to. But the reason he waited for Gurion to come and then ambushed her, trampling her, is, Senior, Gu is no longer needed, it seems? While being held by the throat by Co Huil, I ask with difficulty breathing. Co Huil smiles. Let's just answer what I ask. You're, too, much senior, Gu, really you. Crack. My left arm is twisted back. However, I don't scream but just give a wry smile. I'm not one to talk, but you're too easily playing with heart, aren't you? Can't you feel pain? Or is your tolerance high? Your tolerance seems high. As expected, you are too strange. Crunch, crunch. Co Huil begins to crush my left arm with spiritual energy. Yet, I just grin at him. Indeed, no matter how many times I see it, your willpower is not something that a human who hasn't even lived 50 years can have. Miss High SEO is completely intolerant to pain. But you, her colleague, what are you exactly? What did you do to Oh High SEO? What did he do to make her intolerant to pain? Nothing much. Just a few experiments. I shut my mouth after looking into Co Huil's eyes. Co Huil is just throwing words to stir my emotions. If I show too much interest in Oh High SEO here, it's all over. Rather, just then, Co Huil. Thud, thud. Gurion rises from her place. Even though she is bleeding all over her body, and there is not a single place untouched by Co Huil's assault, she resembles a little girl shedding tears. Why do you do this? I loved you. Co Huil turns to Gurion with a smile. I loved you. I liked you. I wanted to look pretty for you. Wanted you to only see my good sides. I wished you would only look at me. Holding your hand felt so good. But why? Why did you do this to me? Senior Gu. That is because. Co Huil flings me aside and casually approaches her. He whispers into Gurion's ear with a kind face with hands clasped behind his back. You just had the urge to reproduce, wanting to mate with me. Nothing more than that. No. It's not about sexual desire. My emotions. Senior Gu. Swoosh. Co Huil's hand caresses Gurion's cheek. His hand gradually moves down her jawline, caressing her neck, then down to her collarbone, delicately as if playing an instrument. Emotion, you see, is here. Seo Huiol's hand reaches Gurion's chest. Inside here, and his hand moves a bit lower from her chest, touching Gurion's ribs. Puff. Seo Huiol's hand brutally penetrates her ribs. The action that takes place inside the lungs is what emotion is. Seo Huiol continues, gently stroking Gurion's head. When an external stimulus comes, the brain recognizes it, the diaphragm goes down, and air enters the lungs. Then, the vibration of the air that enters the lungs is sorted out and expressed along with body language, foot movements, and eye contact. That's what emotion is. That's all there is to it. Ugh, unable to listen any longer, I vomit blood and rise. Stop spouting nonsense. What you're talking about isn't emotion. This is all there is to emotion. What you're talking about is acting out emotion, not emotion itself. Yes, what he's talking about is merely the emotional acting done by clowns and actors on stage, not real emotion. Seo Huiol looks at me as if I said something absurd. Interesting words, Taoist Seo. This world is a play under fate, and we are merely actors acting within this play. Why would you say acting by an actor is not emotion? For some reason, the Mad Lord's figure seems to overlap with Seo Huiol's. Their ideologies are drastically different. Even their attitudes towards emotion are polar opposites. But why does it feel like the destinations of these two madmen, though at opposite extremes, somehow seem similar? Like an actor, you should just be faithful to your role. Otherwise, you'll be driven off the stage. That's why you have to die, Senior Gu. Seo Huiol looks at her with a pitying gaze and smiles faintly. Indeed, if he is an actor, it'd be a splendid performance. But still, his heart essence is a cold and pure darkness. And in my eyes, he is not an actor but a monster pretending to be human. Seo Huiol's hand, starting from her lungs, begins to ravage through her body. You definitely were of use. Just enough to make Miss Seo jealous. Just enough to help me, and be satisfied with a supporting role in the corner, but you overdid it. You could have kept continuing on the stage. Was it jealousy towards Miss Seo? Was it possessiveness towards me? Either way, it would be troublesome if you really became an integration stage demon king and tried to possess me. Seo Huiol, do not worry, Senior. Today, the cunning opposition faction demons here will collude with the Blood-Ean realm and summon the heavenly fiends here. You will try to stop them and will be killed by the vile heavenly fiends. It will be a sad tale. Mourning the loss of my lover, I will gather the entire Earth tribe to oppose the Blood-Ean realm. Seo Huiol, all thanks to your death today, a beautiful story will unfold. Rest in peace, Senior Gu, for the glory of the Earth tribe. Seo Huiol. Drip, drip. Gurion bursts into tears. Wawoom. Golden light erupts from her body. I really truly loved you. As I said, emotion is merely the amount of air coming from the lungs. Since the lungs correspond to metal and the 5 elements, perhaps emotion is of the metal attribute. We made a pact with the vast cold oath, didn't we? Aye. Confused, Gurion forcefully pushes Seo Huiol away. With one hand raised, the seal of the Ark controlling envoy shines in her hand. Simultaneously, a spatial rift opens, and the entire cotton farm enters a dark space through the rift. The lowermost floor of the Serving Command Ark, the administrative area of Ark controlling envoy Gurion. Puff. As she soars into the air, trying to fly to the upper layers of Serving Command Ark, Seo Huiol says, I've been waiting for this, knowing you would teleport here under pressure. Pat. Seo Huiol slams her down again. Boom. A loud crash resounds, and the entire farm collapses. Gritting my teeth, I form a seal. Zing. At the same time, light flashes throughout the farm, and the Mad Lord's circuit begin to operate, launching an attack on Seo Huiol. A puppet circuit. When did you install this? I've always been curious, but the Mad Lord couldn't have had a disciple. So where did you learn this circuit? It's quite similar to that of the Mad Lord. Crack. However, with a bit of effort from Seo Huiol, the entire farm begins to collapse. He's practically at the integration stage. Indeed, showing off the 4-axis stage cultivation in front of the Mad Lord 1,000 years later was just for show. In reality, in just 1,000 years, he was an entity capable of regaining the title of Dragon King. Run, Flash. As Cheon Riang and the other opposition faction demon beasts attempt to flee, Seo Huiol clenches the air, and they all crumble into pieces of flesh. Seo Huiol approaches Gurion, who is trying to stand up, and tramples on her neck again. Crunch. Thank you, Senior Gu. The lowest level of Serving Command Ark is a space of darkness, so whatever happens here hardly draws attention. It would be more troublesome if traces are left outside. GUH. What bug is this? An interesting stealth technique. Snap. With a flick of his finger, Yuwa is ejected from behind Seo Huiol. Oh, isn't this the musician from that time? Were you also from the Heart Tribe? Haha. Indeed, The heart path method is quite profound and mysterious. Yuhua glares and attempts to play, but the next moment, with a flick of Xiao Hui's finger, her arms are broken. The rumors about you and Daoist Xiao being in a romantic relationship in the Immortal Demon Tower were true, it seems. To be together with Daoist Xiao today, on such a day. Xiao Hui extends his hand towards her, and the next moment, flash, a golden thread flickers between Xiao Hui and Gurion. Xiao Hui twitches and looks at Gurion. This is vast cold beautiful agreement. We made a vast cold beautiful agreement, Xiao Hui. Oui. As she starts truly realizing Xiao Hui's deception towards her, she panics, repeating the same words. Ah, Senior Gyu, do you still have something to say? Vast cold beautiful agreement. We, with the vast cold beautiful agreement. Hoo, Senior Gyu. You sure like this vast cold beautiful agreement, I see. We made a pact with the vast cold beautiful agreement to die together on the same day. Xiao Hui smiles gently, kneels on one knee in front of Gurion, who is lying in confusion and muttering, and tenderly strokes her head. Senior Gyu, you know why the vast cold oath was replaced by the ritual of white-red wine, don't you? Definitely. It's something of a terrifying technique that binds a couple and pulls them towards the fate to die together on the same day. But the vast cold oath is a technique that has lost its efficacy since ancient times. It requires specific conditions to activate, but now, without being a true immortal, the conditions for activating the vast cold oath are forever unknown. Creak. Xiao Hui breaks off Gurion's horn. Holding her horn in his hand, Xiao Hui grins. Now, it's a spell that is completely useless. I was a bit startled when you first applied the vast cold oath on me, not knowing what spell it was. But realizing it's a meaningless technique, it's just laughable. Hoo, just like you, Senior Gyu. No, Xiao Hui. Don't abandon me. I love you, I really like you. Xiao Hui. I am. Tears of blood flow from her eyes. She collapses, feeling a sense of disconnect from Xiao Hui's gentle smile. Now, as I explained earlier, with your death, I can gather the Earth Tribe based on the role of a young man of the bright cold realm who has been deceived by the cunning schemes of the Bloodine realm, centered on the sadness of losing a lover. Now, please make your exit. The next moment, as if trying to escape from Xiao Hui's words, Gurion cries tears and shatters the ground below, diving into the dark space. With that aftermath, both Yuhua and I are swept away and dragged along with her. Where do you think you're going? If you recklessly use such power in the lowest floor. Splash. Xiao Hui launches something sharp. It's a droplet. The droplet fired from the tip of Xiao Hui's finger targets her demon core, and Gurion's demon core shatters into pieces. At the same time, Gurion grabs the void and widens the space. Screech. A spatial rift opens. From the lowest level of the serving command palace, an entrance leading downward appears. Xiao Hui, seeing her open the spatial rift, figures out where the rift is headed and, with a cheerful laugh, stops in his tracks. Choosing to exit the stage yourself, what an excellent choice. I am pulled into the spatial rift along with Gurion, drawn by her spiritual energy and the strange force emanating from her. Beyond the spatial rift, the last thing visible is Xiao Hui looking at us with a smiling face. Yet, with eyes that are not smiling at all, he observes our end to the very last. It's a bit regrettable to have let Xiao Unhyun escape. I wanted to research what beings of heavenly rejection can do, but it's not a loss since I can study Miss Ohayasio more. Quite satisfying. Don't you think so? Xiao Hui turns around with a slight smile. There, Hong Guk is fawning over Xiao Hui with a flattering expression. How could there be any doubt? Everything went according to Sir Xiao Hui's plan. Truly remarkable. How did Sir know leaving Xiao Unhyun would consolidate the opposition? You've eliminated the opposition and gained the pretext of losing your lover to the vile heavenly fiends of the Bloodine realm. Yes, indeed. Your contribution has been significant until now. Not at all. It's all thanks to Sir's superior stratagem. I just did as you instructed. I see. I'll help you evolve into a heavenly fiend of the Bloodine realm then. Hong Guk, ecstatic, laughs out loud. Haha, thank you. In fact, 700 years ago, while fighting the fiends of the Bloodine realm, I felt that those fiends fought quite comfortably. I thought, if only I could evolve into one of such renowned heavenly fiends. Ignoring Hong Guk, Xiao Hui forms a seal, and the opposition faction's blood energy gathers in front of Xiao Hui, emitting an ominous aura. Xiao Hui collects the blood energy and chants a spell, and soon, something dark emerges from the mass of collected blood energy. Here, take this. With this in your mouth, you can become an entity of the Bloodine realm. Ah, thank you. I'll remember Sir's grace in the Bloodine realm. Queek. The next moment, the dark object Xiao Hui hands over latches onto Hong Guk's face. Queek. Sir, Xiao Hui. Hong Guk tries to remove the black object, but it clings to his face and does not come off. After a while, Hong Guk screams as the creature from the Blood-Een realm tears off his head, killing him. The creature that ate Hong Guk's head settles on his body, taking on the exact appearance of Hong Guk's head. Seo Huiol speaks to the entity that had taken over Hong Guk's body. Go to the human race territory and create a pretext for those humans who wish to wage war against the true devil realm. Leave the serving command arc and tell the Black Dragon King to find a host from the mystical scaled fish commanding sect. Derivative stood. The entity awkwardly responds and bows to Seo Huiol. Pleased with the sight, Seo Huiol turns his head to the side, smiling with his eyes. I've kept my promise. Now, the Hong Guk you knew, having been devoured even in soul by the heavenly fiends, will suffer pain until he reaches the netherworld. A sufficiently cruel death. Baek Nyong appears out of thin air. Baek Nyong looks at Seo Huiol for a moment and then closes his eyes. Please save my people. Have I ever spoken empty words? Baek Nyong, dripping with silent tears, kneels in front of Seo Huiol. Seo Huiol looks into the darkness with a pleased smile. Truly a night of delightful betrayals. Where's this? Swoosh. I can hear the sound of rain. I regain consciousness and open my eyes. The sky is visible. The sky, filled with dark clouds, is pouring rain as if a hole had been punctured through it. This is, somehow, the spiritual energy of heaven and earth feels sparse. If the bright cold realm is underwater, this place feels like a vacuum. The lower realm? Inhaling the sparse spiritual energy of heaven and earth, I grab my arm, broken by Seo Huiol, and stagger to my feet. Then I shiver. Surrounded by a mass as large as a mountain range-sized entity encompasses me. It's Gurion. She transformed into her true form and protected me from the pressure of space as we fell into the lower realm. Senior Gyu. I run towards where her head is located. Senior Gurion. When I reach where her head is, I realize. Seo Huiol. Seo Huiol. Seo Huiol. She is muttering Seo Huiol's name endlessly, her eyes blurred as if her soul has left her body. And even that is fading as her eyes grow more vacant, possibly due to Seo Huiol shattering her demon core. Senior, please transform back. If you transform back, I'll somehow see to your wounds, Senior. Senior. But her mind seems to have completely collapsed, perhaps due to the betrayal by the person she loved most. She continues muttering Seo Huiol's name until, at one moment, the light in her eyes disappears. Gurion has died. Senior. With a heart filled with devastation, I look at the dead body of Gurion. Just then, creak. Something rolls out of Gurion's mouth. Splatter. It's a mass of blood. Exclamation point. Within the scarlet blood, I see something moving. This is... I hurry over and approach the moving thing within the mass of blood. And what I found is... Senior. Gurion. Naked, crawling out from within the mass of blood, Gurion mutters with a lost face. Seo Huiol. Seo Huiol. Seo Huiol. Senior Gyu. From the 4-axis stage onwards, one can resurrect even after death by consuming their cultivation. Although the spiritual energy I feel from her is no different from that of a mortal, I decide to be thankful that she is even alive. It's good that you are alive. Seo Huiol. Then, I feel something is off about her state. I'll kill you. Drip, drip. Tears of blood flow from her eyes. Swoosh. Rain pours from all around, and the rainwater washes away her tears of blood. Within that rain, her cries of vengeance echo far and wide like rumbling thunder in a storm. I will definitely kill you, Seo Huiol. You. Thus, on some unknown land in the lower realm. That day, a being whose heart was shattered by betrayal from her loved one weeps tears of blood and cries out for revenge. Chapter 202, Shattered Heart 1. First, wear these clothes. I take off my top and drape it over Gurion, whose spiritual energy has fallen to the level of a mortal. Gurion keeps mumbling with a soulless expression that she will kill Seo Huiol, and I look around for a place to avoid the rain. I need to find Yuhua. I remember Yuhua definitely falling with us. But strangely, she is nowhere to be seen around here. As we cross beyond Gurion's main body, the surrounding terrain appears to be mountainous. I head towards the mountains, intending to make a cave by drilling a hole somewhere suitable. That's when I spot Yuhua in the distance. Apparently, she had been catapulted incorrectly while descending to the lower realm, half buried in the ground with her lower body exposed. Trying to lessen the impact with spider webs during the fall, white spider webs are oozing out from her rear. I first pull her out, upside down, slung her over my back, and head to a nearby cliff to create a rock cave. Hua. Unleashing the power of the Black Dragon's true blood, a punch creates a cave large enough for 3 without much effort. Entering inside, I gather branches. CHZZ. Infusing fire's spiritual energy continuously with the fire-surpassing path to cultivation, steam erupts from the branches, drying out all moisture before catching fire. Fortunately, I still have spiritual power equivalent to the chi building stage left. Xiao Huiol strangled me and played tricks at that time, causing considerable loss of my spiritual power. However, not only my body, which was trained through the Azure Spirit Starlight Quintessence Great Method, but also my internal energy is intact, and the remaining spiritual power is enough for the chi building stage. I should be able to recover my cultivation soon. Senior Gyu, come sit here. After lighting the fire and calling Gurion over, she looks at me with a dazed face. Then, she laughs emptily. I'm not Gurion. Don't call me Senior Gyu. Yes? What she says next makes me sigh deeply. The real Gurion is dead. Normally, a being at the 4-axis stage would resurrect with a body capable of cultivation after death. But do you see? She shows her frail arm. It's an arm that cannot accumulate spiritual energy. I'm neither exactly a human nor can I return to a dragon's body, only living in a transformed body. Even then, I'm not a real human capable of practicing Heaven Tribe methods. She looks at the flames with empty eyes and continues. The real Gurion, she gave up on reviving and chose to die. She intended to die and probably did die. I am not Gurion, just a remnant she left behind. She forces a smile and speaks gloomily. At the 4-axis stage, life force becomes so strong that even if one doesn't wish to resurrect, remnants like me can come into being after death. The real Gurion's lingering resentment, anger, despair, and sense of betrayal created me. I am definitely not Gurion, just her remnant. Seeing her empty laugh, I ask with a heavy heart. Then, how should I address you? Call me Gyubek, the spirit of Gurion. Yes, Miss Gyubek. After saying that, Gyubek stares blankly into the fire. Her heart essence is so twisted that it's hard to read properly at the moment. Leaving her aside, I approach Yuhua. I cleanse the wounds on Yuhua's upper body with a spell and cast a technique to activate her vitality on her. I would have preferred to treat her directly, but since she has the body of a demi-human, not a human, her meridians and blood vessels are completely different from those of humans, making it impossible to treat her with anything specific. Having no other choice, I reluctantly decided to rely on her innate vitality for healing and cast a spell to activate her life force. After the rain stopped, several days passed. I took care of Yuhua and gathered even the sparse spiritual energy to regain my cultivation. Having practiced the method of understanding before breakthrough several times before, I was able to regain my cultivation quickly even with sparse spiritual energy. Using formations to draw and absorb the dragon veins of the surrounding terrain, I managed to regain my cultivation up to the core formation stage. Yuhua also regained consciousness when I returned to the core formation stage. Where is this? It seems to be the lower realm. Lower realm. Which lower realm? Which lower realm? As I am wondering, Yuhua asks again. The astral realm or the decaying corpse realm? Which one is it? Oh, I'm not sure about that. I may not know much about the lower realm since I'm from the bright cold realm, but I've heard that in the decaying corpse realm, the sky is blocked above, and in the astral realm, you can ascend endlessly. Could you check for us? Understood. Leaving Yuhua still lying behind, I step out of the cave. Let's see, shall we go up? My crushed arm had fully recovered after reaching the core formation stage. I leap towards the sky, treading heaven. Whoosh. The formless sword merges with my entire being, and I rise to the sky as one with the formless sword. Mixing in the flying escape technique as I ascend, I soar into the sky faster than most nascent soul stage cultivators. Gradually, the air becomes thinner. However, having regained my core formation stage cultivation, the presence or absence of air is of little concern to me. Breaking through the clouds and rising further into the sky, I widen my eyes. The air completely disappears, and sound ceases to exist. The sky, which had been endlessly blue, suddenly turns as black as night. Phew. While it's not as cold as the lowest level of serving command arc, a considerable chill envelopes my body. At the same time, whoosh, I enter the universe. This place is the astral realm. I realize that I finally come to a familiar world, different from the flat earth I had seen before, and shout with excitement. Below me, round earth can be seen, wearing the formless sword and moving further away from that land. The round earth soon looks down upon me like a star. Indeed, the astral realm is a proper universe. Familiar. Well, not really familiar, but somehow, I look around the universe with anticipation. If the astral realm really is the universe, the terrain of the land I had just ascended from, at a glance, is definitely not Earth. First of all, this planet has 2 satellites orbiting it. But, in any case, I have fallen into a world that matches the knowledge I had during my time as an Earthling. This means, somewhere in this universe, Earth might exist. This is significant news. The universe is infinitely vast, but someday, we might be able to return to the place we lived in. I float in space for a while, filling my heart with the countless stars in the galaxy. Afterward, I descend back to that planet. Whizzing, entering the atmosphere with the formless sword enveloping my entire body, a strong frictional heat is generated on the formless sword, causing a burden. Of course, the burden isn't too great, so it's bearable, and I fall near the original place like a meteor. Kurong. The hillside next to Gurion's body is completely crushed as I land. I return to the cave to tell Yuhua that this place is the astral realm. Just then, so you were from the Heart Tribe too. Suddenly, Gubek, who had been staring blankly, comes out in front of the cave and looks at me indifferently. I slowly nod my head. I'm sorry for deceiving you. But, it's fine. You deceived Gurion, not me. I'm sorry. I bow once again to her, and then head into the cave. From behind, I hear Gubek muttering blankly. This one or that one. They all only came to deceive Gurion. Although she didn't say much, Gubek seems to become more upset upon realizing I am from the Heart Tribe. I've deceived her about too many things. I sigh inwardly and approach Yuhua. She is healing her body by activating her own vitality. This place is the astral realm. The sky stretches endlessly, and the land is round. I explain the universe in a way she can easily understand, informing her that this is the astral realm. Upon hearing my words, Yua's eyes light up. The astral realm. Then, her eyes, usually closed in contemplation, flashes open in excitement. Is there something in the astral realm? Yes, of course. We ended up in the astral realm and got trapped in the lower realm, but it turned out to be a good thing. I wonder what's good about that. However, what she says next surprises me. If we're in the astral realm, we can somewhat communicate with the highest council of the Heart Tribe. Indeed, there is a reason for her excitement. It means that, although we are stranded in the lower realm, there might be a way out. Being able to communicate with the highest council. Is there anything I can help with? There's nothing you need to help with. It's fascinating, being able to directly contact the upper realm from the lower realm. To be precise, it's not about connecting the lower realm with the upper realm. Perhaps the Heaven Tribe or Earth Tribe could, but our Heart Tribe doesn't have such capabilities. Then how do you make the connection? As I wonder, she smiles and explains. To contact the highest council means directly contacting the supreme leader of the council, who then relays the message to the bright cold realm. I gasp at her words. Wait, the supreme leader you're referring to? Yes, that's right. Upon her confirmation, not only I, but also Gubek, who has been sitting gloomily at the entrance of the cave, is startled. The Heaven Collapsing Esteemed One is currently in the astral realm, and I am an intelligence agent who received a mission from the Esteemed One, so with a little time, it will be possible to contact him. This is astonishing news. So, that's why she said she will contact the Esteemed One about Kim Young-hoon being in the lower realm last time. The Heaven Collapsing Esteemed One was originally in the lower realm. From the entrance of the cave, Gubek looks at us and snorts. That's quite surprising. A great musician who can also communicate with the Esteemed One. Anyway, it's fascinating how the mysterious heart path method enables communication with the Esteemed One from such a distance. Having two Heart Tribe spies so close and Gurion not realizing it is just pitiful. She clicks her tongue as if displeased with us and turns her head away. There is a moment of intense silence between Yuhua and Gubek. I break the silence by changing the subject. By the way, what is the Heart Tribe's Esteemed One doing in the astral realm? Yuhua tilts her head in confusion. I'm not sure. I heard he was looking for something. Gurion interrupts our conversation again. Except for those from the Bloodine realm, all the star-shattering stage Esteemed Ones from across the Middle Realms are currently on a mission in the astral realm. I heard they are all looking for something at the edge of the astral realm. There's a special decaying corpse realm within the astral realm, but I don't know much about it. Thank you, Miss Gubek. I thank her and, reminded of something, ask again. But why are the Bloodine realms Esteemed Ones remaining in their realm? Didn't you say that the Esteemed Ones from the other realms have all gone in search of something? The heavenly fiends of the Bloodine realm didn't follow not because they didn't want to, but because they couldn't. They are confined to the Bloodine realm. Confined? Yes. They cannot go to any other world except for the true Devil realm and the bright cold realm. This includes the lower realms like the astral realm as well. Though she pretends to be reluctantly sharing what she knows, she seems to genuinely enjoy being part of the conversation. I smile slightly, reading her intent. Though her heart essence is still incredibly gloomy compared to the normal days of Gurion, it is evident that engaging in conversation is making her a bit better. With my limited understanding, I'm not sure why the heavenly fiends of the Bloodine realm ended up like that. Could Miss Gubek enlighten me? I don't know much either. It's said that due to the pull of fate, the star-shattering stage heavenly fiends are bound to the Bloodine realm and cannot leave. They can travel to the true Devil realm since it's originally the same dimension, but I'm not sure why they can go to the bright cold realm. Thank you for your teaching. Enough. Don't talk to me. You heart tribe folks. After finishing her words, she turns her back again and stares blankly at the sky from the cave entrance. However, seeing her heart essence and noticing she improves a bit as we converse, I continue to engage her in conversation. Quebec, though pretending to be annoyed, answers when I keep talking to her, and I can notice her condition improving. When the fog over her heart essence finally lifts somewhat, I cautiously ask her, Miss Quebec, I have a question. What is it again? Ms. Quebec mentioned that it's difficult for you to learn demon beast methods or heaven tribe methods. Her expression darkens again at my words. I cautiously ask her, have you considered learning the heart path method? Startled by my question, Quebec glares at me, and Yua, who had been carving wood and attaching spider webs to create new strings, also turns her head towards us. You're telling me to learn the heart path method? Why not? That's... After pondering for a moment, she sighs softly. After oppressing and despising the heart tribe, how can I now learn the heart path method? Wouldn't that be shameless? It's an interesting reason. It's not that she dislikes the heart tribe, but she dislikes the idea of herself, who has tormented the heart tribe, learning the heart tribe's power. Indeed, her nature is kind. I smile at Quebec. Why would Miss Quebec worry about that? What? Who you're talking about is Gurion, isn't it? You. She seems momentarily confused about her identity, clutching her head and glaring at me. Besides, doesn't Miss Quebec have something she wants to do right now? Observing the deep-seated heart essence within her, I ask. After a long silence, Quebec nods. I want to kill Seo Huiol. Yes, with such a desire, such longing. How can you achieve that with a body that cannot learn any methods right now? I can teach you the heart path method. Shouldn't you seek revenge on Seo Huiol by learning it? Of course, I don't expect her to reach beyond the path with it. The reason I made this suggestion is because I want to give her, who is deeply twisted in darkness, something to immerse herself in. Conversing seems to improve her state slightly, but, without addressing the root issue, she will remain in a state where she might succumb to suicide at any moment. I hope that by awakening and training her in this way, focusing on cultivation might help lighten her dark heart essence. After hearing my words, she is silent for a while and then clenches her teeth. I don't know. All I have are memories of fearing, despising, and being terrified of the heart tribe. Moreover, in Gurion's memories, Gurion always considered the heart tribe as something that must be killed. I don't know if I should learn the heart path method. I will give it a thought. She bites her lip. I understand. I decide to give her some time to think about it. Thus, near the cave, we spend a few more days with Yua recovering her vitality, and my cultivation, and Quebec her spirit. About 2 weeks after falling into the lower realm, on the day Yua's injuries are fully healed, I receive unbelievable news from her. The Heaven Collapsing Esteemed One is sending an avatar here this way. Both I and Quebec nearby are startled by her words. When is the Esteemed One expected to arrive? I ask her in confusion, and she makes an awkward expression. Now. Chapter 203, Shattered Heart 2. Whoosh. Without any time to react, a bright light burst from between her eyebrows. Simultaneously, the light emitting from her brows transforms into a green radiance, condensing a green padao in the air. The Esteemed One's strike embedded in Yua's heart essence. That strike of the Esteemed One flickers in the air before gradually changing its form. I watch the process intently, repeatedly expressing my astonishment. What incredible mysteries are mixed into each and every change. The enlightenment connected to the sea of righteousness and mountain of grace is felt through the heart essence. The enlightenment connected to treading heavens is shown in the process of the padao transforming into a body. And then, countless other mysteries that cannot be fully comprehended intertwine in the air as the padao takes on a familiar form. I pay my respects to the Esteemed One. Yua bends her legs in respect to him. Despite her discomfort with the heart tribe, Quebec also bows to Jangik. I pay my respects to the Esteemed One. I follow their lead and pay my respects as well. I pay my respects to the Esteemed One. Wawoom. The cluster of light coalesces, taking the complete form of a small greenish figure. This is the Heaven Collapsing Esteemed One. This is the second time I've seen him, counting my past life. I hadn't looked closely before, but now, I can clearly see his appearance. The Heaven Collapsing Esteemed One manifested from Yua's strike, wears tattered clothes, and has green skin. His ears are as large as fans, and his nose is as big as a fist. His teeth are also jagged, and his fingernails are sharp. If not for one thing, he might have seemed somewhat feeble. And that one thing is his muscles. Despite his small stature, upon closer inspection, his entire body is packed with compact muscles. He seems capable of fighting against any core formation stage demon beast with his sheer physical strength alone. As I am observing him, suddenly Jangik's gaze meets mine. It feels piercing. standing before his gaze. It feels as if he could decapitate me at any moment with a strike. I break out in a cold sweat under his gaze for a moment. After looking at me for a while, he strokes his chin as if intrigued. Impressive. How did someone of the human race manage to step into the second phase of manifestation? Moreover, looking at the energy, core formation, no, nascent soul stage, and despite being of the heaven tribe, I sense earth tribe methods. Huh. He chuckles heartily. Heaven, earth, heart, have you integrated all three? Since you seem to have a righteous heart, no need to kill you, then. His casual remark makes me sweat profusely. Jang Ik recognized my potential, and had there been even a hint of malice in my heart essence, he would have been ready to cut me down instantly. So you called me. Heart Tribe Agent number 1798, Yu Hua, greets the esteemed one of the Heart Tribe. What exactly happened that an intelligence agent who should be operating in the bright cold realm's mainland ended up falling into the astral realm? Jang Ik looks at us with a somewhat incredulous gaze. And that is a fragment? His gaze shifts to Quebec. Fragments are born only from cultivators of at least the 4-axis stage. Yes, I seem to have glimpsed the corpse of a golden dragon while sending my consciousness to this star. Are you a fragment of that golden dragon? Quebec nods with a somber expression. Yes, a remnant left by Gurion, the arc-controlling envoy of the Earth Tribe True Dragon Alliance. Quebec greets the supreme leader of the Heart Tribe. The envoy of the True Dragon Alliance. That deck cleaner, right? Jang Ik may have demeaned the envoy to the level of a cleaner, but no one present dares to object to his words. Quebec slowly nods her head. Let's hear some explanations first. What's up with this complete heaven, earth, and Heart Tribe guy? Why has a Heart Tribe agent fallen here, and why is a fragment of the envoy here? With that, I, being the most knowledgeable about our situation, slowly explained everything to Jang Ik. My story went on until the morning sun turned into evening twilight. I started with how I knew of Seo Huiol's wickedness and did everything to control him, how Gurion was used by Seo Huiol, and how Yua got involved. Since Quebec had also come to know the true nature of Seo Huiol, there was no reason to hide anything in front of her anymore. After listening to my story until the end and hearing everything from Yua's perspective, Jang Ik finally asked Quebec, "What about you? The fragment of Gurion, Quebec, was it? Do you have anything to say from your perspective? Please do not honor me with such a lofty title as fragment. I am merely the remains left by Gurion, so please refer to me as such, esteemed one. If that's what you wish, I'll do so." Jang Ik chuckles and crosses his arms. After staring blankly into space for a while, Quebec began her story. Her narrative was mostly disjointed. Most of it revolved around how Gurion felt towards Seo Huiol and the pain of being betrayed, and how she was born out of that resentment and pain. Yet, Jang Ik listened to Quebec's disjointed story to the end. Quebec's story dragged on, lasting until 2 moons rose high into the night sky. And so, Seo Huiol abandoned me, and finally, I ended up here. Overwhelmed by her emotions, Quebec wipes away her tears as she finishes her story. After hearing all our stories, Jang Ik nods. So, the madman Seo Huiol is currently stirring trouble in the bright cold realm's mainland. Well, to sum it up, yes. Jang Ik speaks as he sits down on a rock. Do you know why I listen to all your stories? We shake our heads. It's because as one tells their stories, the depths of their heart essence are revealed. I listen to your stories to decide whether or not I should help you. Jang Ik looks at Yua. Yua, you pass. Your determination to accept the new recruit, Baek Nyong, is strong. With a little help, you will be able to carry through with your will. Thank you. Jang Ik then looks at me. Monster, you also pass. Why am I a monster? You're not asking because you don't know, right? Anyway, I felt an endless indomitable will deep within your heart essence. Your heart essence itself is quite marvelous, beautiful enough to be felt, and you seem like someone who would make it worth my while to help a little. Jang Ik then finally looks at Quebec. You, the remnant, fail. He looks at Quebec and clicks his tongue. You don't even know what you're seeking. Well, that's the identity of fragments, I suppose. Quebec does not argue against Jang Ik's words and just listens quietly with a gloomy look in her eyes. Or perhaps she is just letting it pass by. Until you solidify your identity, I won't offer you any help. Do as you please. I wasn't hoping for the Heart Tribe esteemed one's help anyway. Impudent. Is it because I'm just an avatar that you're underestimating me? What does it matter when I could die at any moment anyway? Well, fine. It's a loss for me to deal with a dead soul who can't die. Jang Ik looks around at us and says, I can offer you 3 types of help. First, I use my strike here to create a spatial rift connected to the bright cold realm. Second, I stay here to train you, drawing out your potential so you can ascend on your own. Third, I contact the highest council of the Heart Tribe and send a rescue signal so they can come for you. He asks us as if leaving the choice to us. Choose one of the 3. Whatever you wish, I'll grant it. But, Jang Ik looks at Quebec. If you choose the first, I'll create a spatial rift that only the two of you can enter. If you choose the second, I'll teach only the two of you. And if you choose the third, I'll make sure they only come to rescue the two of you. I don't want to help someone who can't even find their own identity. Hearing this, I don't hesitate to choose the second option. Choosing the second means there's still time to slowly persuade her. Plus, if we can change her mind, the heaven-collapsing esteemed one might also be willing to teach Quebec a bit. Jangik chuckles at my choice. A kind-hearted one, aren't you? He seems to have read my heart essence directly, knowing why I chose the second option. What about you? Yuhua looks to ponder for a moment before speaking with determination. I also choose the second. I'd like to rush to save my disciple right now, but being in the clutches of that monster at the integration stage, there's nothing I can do even if I do go now. Instead, I'd rather receive teachings from the esteemed one here to gain the strength to save my disciple later. Pleased with the response, Jangik nods approvingly. Good. Since you're on the verge of achieving the third step of manifestation, it will be enjoyable to teach. Thus, we were granted the opportunity to receive teachings from the heaven-collapsing esteemed one, Jangik. Wawoom. I connect the formation I created for gathering dragon veins that were intended for recovering my cultivation to Jangik's avatar. His avatar, which looked a bit faint, became fully solid once connected to the formation. Is this where you've been staying? Yes, that's right. Then let's move a bit further away to start training. It would be problematic if your dwelling gets completely destroyed. Understood. Follow me. With a flash, Jangik's avatar steps through the air and flies off somewhere. Yuhua follows him, turning into a crimson river and disappearing. I look at Quebec and ask, aren't you going to watch, Miss Quebec? Forget it. What's the use of watching the Heart Tribe train? She chuckles emptily and turns her head with a vacant look in her eyes. However, I cautiously speak to her, reading her heart essence. Regardless, it's an opportunity to see the power of the esteemed one. Aren't you curious? The dragon race also has an esteemed one. Though he's on an expedition, I've seen the power held by an avatar of the dragon race esteemed one when I was very young, so it doesn't matter. When she was young, is she truly Quebec? Or is she Gurian, mistaking herself for being dead? I'm not sure. However, still, come and see just once. Who knows, it might be useful for studying the Heart Tribe's weaknesses later. Fine if you insist that much. Quebec sighs and gets up as if bothered. I smile slightly. Did you think I wouldn't realize you were somewhat hoping to be persuaded to come along? She seems inwardly curious about the power of the heaven-collapsing esteemed one, a Heart Tribe esteemed one. I, too, am in favor of her taking an interest in something other than her murderous intent towards Xiao Huiol, as it would somewhat ventilate her heart essence. I take out a flying magic artifact from my storage bag, have her board it, and follow Jangik and Yuhua. Do the clothes fit well? I ask Gurian, who is wearing thick clothes I had taken out from my storage bag. As her spiritual energy reduced to that of a mortal, flying at high altitudes made her feel quite cold. Yes, it's fine. I was much warmer when I had scales. It's not about the scales. It's because your pure spiritual force isn't flowing properly now. Being in a dragon's body was really convenient. Since it's impossible to get back the body of a dragon given the current situation, how about considering learning the heart path method? Didn't I say I would think about it? Understood. As we chat and fly through the sky for a while, we arrive at a vast wasteland far beyond Gurian's corpse, where Jangik had reached. The wasteland, filled with stones, seems quite suitable for a training ground. Whizzing, I descend from the paper boat-shaped flying magic artifact and stand before Jangik. Worrying that Quebec might get caught in the aftermath, I send the paper boat far away. Jangik, seeing me and Yuhua, crosses his arms. First, let's properly gauge your capabilities. Swoosh. Thump, 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 thump. 4 green padeos materialize around Jangik, embedding themselves in the ground. He enters the center of the padeos, crossing his arms as he speaks. Before we start training, if you have any questions, ask them now. Once the training begins, both of you will be crawling on the ground, beaten to a pulp. Such confidence. It feels almost maniacally so. Yuhua seems to be organizing her questions, and I ask what I am most curious about. As the heaven-collapsing esteemed one knows, I am not officially a member of the Heart Tribe. Officially, I belong to the Earth Tribe. Why then do you offer me your assistance? Because you're also part of the Heart Tribe. A straightforward and concise answer. But I glance back and stealthily observe Quebec. Then, if Miss Quebec, who is not of the Heart Tribe, finds her identity, do you also intend to teach her? Of course. May I ask why? Because that fragment has the potential to achieve manifestation. Quebec has the talent to reach the beyond the heavens? I quickly ask in surprise. Do you mean Miss Quebec has such potential? Yes. Well, from what I see in your heart essence, it seems you might be misunderstanding something. Let me tell you, the potential you're thinking of and the potential I'm thinking of are quite different. What kind of potential are you thinking of, esteemed one? What follows from Jangik is beyond my imagination. None. I believe that every being in this world has the potential to achieve manifestation. Therefore, the potential I'm talking about is practically non-existent for you. His eyes shine. Manifestation to you from your heart. Earth Tribe's perspective. What do you think the heart path method is? That's a difficult question. I have always pursued the martial path, but I had never thought about what the martial path itself was. For starters, I don't like terms like heart path method, so let me tell you the term I use. I call it fighting spirit. Fighting spirit. What do you call your fighting spirit? There is a tremor in Jangik's question. Feeling that tremor, I realized that simply answering with beyond the path to heavens and treading heavens would not suffice. Fighting spirit. What is my fighting spirit? What should I call it? A culmination of all the techniques I've learned, my combat experience, my enlightenment. It is. After a moment of contemplation, I realized the answer. An answer almost absurdly simple. So it was that simple. Martial arts. I respond to Jangik with the name of what I have learned. What I have learned is martial arts. Martial arts. That's a good name. Somehow, Jangik seems satisfied with my answer. Then let me ask again. What does martial arts mean to you? It's a part of my life. Then, do you think there's something special about those who have learned martial arts? Born with a certain quality, a certain lineage, or a certain spiritual root? No. There might be differences in talent, but martial arts can be learned by anyone. Exactly, that's it. Jangik smiles, seemingly pleased. My fighting spirit, Yua's music, it's all the same. Anyone can learn it. That's why I believe every being in this world can achieve manifestation through fighting spirit. That's one of the reasons I want to help you. If that's one of the reasons, are there others? Of course there is. What is that reason? Jangik's expression turns serious as he speaks. To you, is martial arts only a part of your life? Yes, but my fighting spirit isn't just that. If you come to understand the meaning of the martial arts you've learned for yourself, you'll properly understand why I'm helping you. Now, is that all you're curious about? Yuhua and I nod for the moment. Jangik assumes his stance. Chills. I'm going to be cut. For a moment, I feel as if my entire body is being sliced by Jangik's padao. Sharp. The tension makes every hair on my body stand on end. This experience is similar to the feeling I had when fighting Kim Young-hoon, who was of a higher realm than me. Jangik moves his hand towards his padaos, smiling. Now, come at me, kids. Let's see what you've got. Yuhua readies her instrument, and I grip my formless sword at the same time. In the next instant, my martial arts and Jangik's fighting spirit clash, baring their teeth. Chapter 204, Shattered Heart, 3. Twang. The start of the battle is signaled by Yuhua's zither. As her zither plays, crimson rivers overflow in all directions. The sunset envelopes the surroundings, summoning demonic mists. I dodge the hues of her sunset, careful not to touch it, as I search for an opening in Jangik's defense. There's no opening. He truly does not allow even a single gap. If I go in now, I'll be beheaded. My intuition warns me of this. Swoosh. Yuhua's music sweeps over Jangik, who leaps into the air to avoid it and reaches for the 4 padaos. The next moment, boom. Suddenly, one of the padaos in his grasp flies towards me. Whiz. The padao whirls through the air, aiming straight for my neck. I barely manage to dodge it by kicking off the ground. Sword control. Jangik's padao pursues me freely through the air. After deflecting his padao with my formless sword, I observe it. No, it's not that. It isn't sword control. Jangik and his padao's handle are connected by thin strands of qi, and he is manipulating the padao in the air by moving the connected qi. It's a completely different method from sword control, where one detaches their consciousness to imbue a weapon with action. Boom, woom, woom, woom. As I observe Jangik's padao, Jangik rotates the 2 padaos in his hands and the 2 connected by qi strands around him, maintaining his position. He's preparing some technique. Then, it will be wise to see what technique unfolds. As I brace for his move, woom, the air seems to be sucked in. Around Jangik, not just the surrounding air but also the spiritual energy itself is slowly being absorbed. Zap zap, I feel a tingling sensation throughout my body. Simultaneously, a chill runs down my spine. No, I thought wrong. If that technique is completed, Yuhua and I will die. Yuhua, sensing the impending danger, begins to play her zither even faster. I swiftly circle around Jangik, looking for an opening. At one moment, I find what looks like a gap in Jangik's posture. Zap zap, my intuition warns me. That gap is definitely a trap. Entering that trap will surely lead to disaster. However, I clench my teeth and dive into the trap like an arrow. I may face disaster, but without doing this, there's no chance at all. Jangik is a giant cliff. Not just a high cliff, but one with a waterfall crashing down, making it impossible to climb. To overcome this cliff, even if it is a trap, I have to boldly enter. Severing mountain swordsmanship, transcending peaks. Flash. Entering the gap shown by Jangik, I grip my formless sword and execute a horizontal slash towards the gap. But in an instant, Jangik maneuvers his small frame into the air, evading my formless sword, and plunges the two rotating Padeos towards me. I hurriedly try to dodge backward, but I feel something catch me from behind. These are chi strands. The chi strands that Jangik has been using to rotate the Padeos are preventing me from moving back. He wasn't just rotating the Padeos. Through the Padeos, he scattered his chi strands all around. Soon, the area is densely covered with chi strands, making them hard to detect. Got you. Jangik smirks and throws the Padao in his hand. I transform my formless sword, cutting through the chi strands and retreating backward. The Padao barely grazes the tip of my nose as it passes by, but I manage to dodge it just in time. However, the next instant, boom! Following the chi strands spread around, the Padao rotates in the air and shoots back towards me. The chi strands I had cut somehow reconnected. At this rate, it's impossible to even get close to Jangik. It might seem like just 4 Padeos rotating around him, but those 4 Padeos are constantly scattering chi strands. Jangik is controlling these chi strands to manipulate the 4 Padeos like puppets. These chi strands can either obstruct the opponent's movement by applying physical force or enclose and slice the opponent by applying sharp energy. This requires an insanely precise level of control. Jangik is pushing me back, freely manipulating these precise chi strands. First, I need to deflect or dodge the incoming Padeos, and then charge at Jangik. The scattered chi strands are annoying, but if I cut them at the plane level using the abilities of Treading Heavens, I should be able to sever them. Then, the right approach would be to block or deflect the Padeos once, and then look for an opportunity to attack Jangik. Just as I organize my thoughts and extend my formless sword towards Jangik's Padao. Boom. A tremendous explosion rings out, and I spit out blood. Gush. The shock makes me feel as if my insides are about to burst, and clenching my teeth to stop myself from spitting out blood is the best I can do. In an instant, the power scattered in the chi strands concentrated to a single point. At any time, the dispersed power can be concentrated back to a single point to strike the opponent. What a terrifying skill. As I am regaining my composure from the shock, the area around Jangik and me is filled with Yuwa's sunset-hued river. She engulfs even me in her attempt to lay Jangik to rest, attacking us from all directions with her river. But the next moment, whiz, 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 whiz. The scattered chi strands begin to shine. Along with it, Jangik's Padeos crazily rotate around following the trajectories of the chi strands. Whizzing. It's akin to a storm. The greenish Padeos are creating a violent storm. Cough. In the instant Jangik creates the storm for defense, I put all my strength to escape his chi strands domain. Soon after, the greenish storm sweeps away the crimson river. Try a bit harder. The energy contained in this avatar isn't even at the chi refining stage. Even with that, I'm conserving energy, yet you can't even attack me properly? Shoo. After Jangik's storm passes, I watch the path cleared by his Padeos and laugh bitterly. This is crazy. A diameter of 30 zhang, 100 meters, is completely swept away. Of course, a chi-building cultivator can sweep that much just by indiscriminately casting spells. But my astonishment is for a different reason. The amount of energy used in Jangik's chi strands, and the energy infused into the Padeos, was clearly just enough to maintain sword energy for about an hour. That is, the total amount of power Jangik used was less than a single swing of Sword Gang. Swinging Sword Gang can cut through a rock, yet such a wide range of destruction is impossible. How did he do it? Yuwa also seems to realize this, her expression darkening. Yuwa's music, in terms of total energy, is comparable to a full-force strike from a nascent soul stage cultivator. Yet Jangik repelled a strike from a nascent soul cultivator with merely the power weaker than a martial artist's Sword Gang. Truly a feat of using 4 tails to lift 1,000 caddies. Even for a star-shattering stage being, does this make sense? It couldn't have been just the power of Sword Gang that repelled a strike at the nascent soul level. There had to be something more. Exchanging glances with Yuwa, I charge at Jangik with all my might. Her illusory play under the rosy afterglow supports me from behind as we both attack Jangik together. But the next moment, boom, Jangik again scatters chi strands and hurls his Padeos through them at us. I dodge on the spot, attacking Jangik alongside the river created by illusory play under the rosy afterglow. The next instant, zang. The Padao I dodge causes an even more enormous explosion than the previous storm, tearing through the nearby ground. What in the world? It doesn't make sense. Even if all the dispersed chi strands were combined together, the power contained in the Padao just now was weaker than sword energy. But how did such destructive power emerge? It's not just a simple case of using 4 tails to lift 1,000 caddies. There is something Jangik is hiding from us. I heighten my senses and observe his chi strands while rotating around Jang-ik. Suddenly, I notice something familiar about his chi strands. Somehow, it reminds me of the moment when Kim Young-hoon used his external inner core to grasp the clues of treading heavens beyond the path. Kim Young-hoon connected meridians and blood vessels externally, creating an external inner core to amplify the attack's power. That's not just chi strands. I asked Jang-ik with a trembling voice. Oh, you've noticed already? How did you know? I've seen something similar before. Something similar? Oh, this entire area is essentially Yuta. That is it. The chi strands created by Jang-ik swinging his padao are not just simple chi strands. They were meridians and blood vessels made of energy, spiritual veins. While Kim Young-hoon aimed to enhance his power by connecting external spiritual veins with internal life force, Jang-ik is different. He breathes life into the external meridians, sucking in the heaven and earth spiritual energy from the outside, drawing in more energy into those chi strands than his body can absorb. I thought it was being sucked in by the rotation, but it wasn't. With the rotation, the chi strands Jang-ik laid down became spiritual veins, breathing and inhaling the surrounding spiritual energy. I am astounded not just by Jang-ik's technique, but by its control. To suck in external spiritual energy to strengthen one's attack. If it were that easy, everyone would fight that way. Who would bother learning conventional martial arts? It requires control akin to one's own body. If the control isn't on par with one's own body, the spiritual energy Jang-ik sucked in from the outside would just scatter again, becoming useless. Swoosh swoosh. While Jang-ik seems to praise me for catching on quickly, he continues to rotate his padaos, expanding the domain of his chi strands. Simultaneously, I realize the malevolence emanating from the padaos is intensifying. The wider the domain of chi strands, the stronger Jang-ik's attacks become with infinite potential. In a way, it resonates with my foolish old man moves mountains. Stepping into the domain of chi strands to counter it means facing Jang-ik's freely moving padaos and being constantly harassed by the chi strands. I'll decide it in one go. If we keep dragging on, Jang-ik will become infinitely stronger. Of course, since Jang-ik is in his avatar form, his body might fail to withstand and explode. However, winning that way would be meaningless. I exchange heart language with Yuhua. We synchronize our intentions, position ourselves on both sides of Jang-ik, and unleash the greatest attacks we can muster. Severing Mountain Swordsmanship, Ultimate Technique, Severing Mountain. Illusory Player under the Rosy Afterglow's Ultimate Technique, Illusory Heaven. Kagugugu. 21 techniques unfold at once, striking at the widest gap among Jang-ik's chi strands. 8 streams of Crimson River converge into one, rushing in like a torrent through Jang-ik's chi strands. The next moment, Jang-ik smiles and lifts the padaos in his hands. Impressive. Should I exert a bit of effort too? The name of his profound technique resonates in the world of intent. Fighting spirit, first step. I can feel it. The strike Jang-ik is about to use corresponds to the enlightenment of beyond the path to heavens. In other words, Jang-ik had been fighting us with pure techniques that didn't even reach beyond the path to heavens up to now. Jang-ik dances on the spot with his rotating padaos, scattering attacks in all directions. For treasures annihilating heaven's blade. Executing immortals annihilating heavens. Slaughtering immortals annihilating heavens. Ah, beautiful. In my previous life, the strike that split the Mad Lord's wonderfully mysterious fortress in half. Now, even closer, Jang-ik is unfolding in detail as if to show and teach me, making its beauty even more palpable. Intent is essentially chi. Just as Jang-ik's chi strands concentrate to show tremendous power, Jang-ik's intent concentrates, descending to the plane of chi. His consciousness, having descended to the plane of chi, becomes one with countless chi strands, manipulating the energy drawn from the surroundings. The energy of the padaos, honed to such extreme sharpness, fly towards Yuhua and me who are each unfolding our ultimate techniques. Whiz. It's clean. That is the end. The ultimate technique of my Severing Mountain Swordsmanship is directly cut through by Jang-ik's executing immortals annihilating heavens. Zing. The ultimate technique unleashed by Yuhua is torn to shreds by Jang-ik's slaughtering immortals annihilating heavens, scattering it apart. The technique of sheer violent destruction disperses her ultimate technique. FWSH. Before I know it, I realize my body has been cleanly split in half vertically. Tremendous. Thanks to Jang-ik's consideration, my golden core is not split, allowing me to survive. However, I feel chills all over my body realizing that in a real battle, not just my golden core, but even my nascent soul would have been split in one strike if I faced Jang-ik's technique. Kwang. Yuhua, having been hit by Jang-ik's technique, is bruised all over and sent flying far away. I let out a hollow laugh. It's a perfect defeat. Zhang disperses the energy condensed Padeos and crosses his arms. So, did you all understand what I'm trying to say? Yes. It was a valuable lesson. Only after sparring with Zhang do I understand what he is trying to convey. I also roughly understand why he asked such questions before the spar. The method of the Heart Tribe, the fighting spirit, is about standing against the strong from the position of the weak. Exactly. From the perspective of the strong, they wouldn't need to bother with such complex manipulations such as the impossible precision and control demonstrated by Zhang. A simple punch would suffice. However, Zhang displayed attacks of power several times greater than a nascent soul stage with just the energy equivalent of a single sword gang. It's not just about using 4 tails to lift 1,000 caddies, but using that power to multiply strength, subduing the opponent with lesser force. Zhang himself is not strong. Because he was born into a weaker race, he had to amplify the power of his techniques by complexly manipulating energy to face terrifying races like dragons, humans, and giants. The supreme technique he created to face those formidable races. That is precisely his fighting spirit. As the weak, as slaves, as insignificant beings. To resist against the strong, the masters, the rulers. The intent of striving to prevent the unjust oppression of the weak is precisely my fighting spirit. Zhang's statement that everyone has the potential for manifestation meant that all beings living in this world could someday find themselves in the position of the weak. Thus, he wants to teach the weak. I'll ask you again. I deeply contemplate Zhang's question. To you, what is martial arts? Chapter 205, Shattered Heart 4. What is martial arts to me? When I reached beyond the path to heavens, I thought that to me, martial arts meant freedom. My current formless sword is what I believe to be the manifestation of my heart's desire to escape the fate of regression, struggling against the shackles of fate. But do I live only to escape regression? No. My life itself is filled with countless graces and gratitude. Therefore, my life is not just about escaping regression, but also about living each moment fully. Every single moment. Every moment a person experiences is irreplaceable and will never return. This is a truth I realized because I can travel through time. Time never returns. Thus, let's live a faithful life. Then, what is a faithful life? What is faithful martial arts? To me, what is my faithful life, and what is true martial arts? I realize that with this meager brain of mine, it is impossible to come up with an answer right now. Pondering here won't help. This is a question I must continue to ponder in the future. As I regenerate my body that had been sliced vertically, I gradually close my eyes. Perhaps because I haven't fully recovered to the nascent soul stage, just being cut in half makes me lose consciousness and faint. I need to regain my cultivation as soon as possible. With that, I fall into sleep. When I open my eyes, familiar faces are in sight. Yuhua and Gyubek. You're awake. Where is this? It's the cave. She indifferently turns her head, but I can tell from my neatly arranged clothes and wiped sweat that Gyubek had taken care of me while I was unconscious. Even though she's a fragment of Gyurayan, she inherited Gyurayan's good nature. As I contemplate her character, she says, he showed it openly. The heaven collapsing esteemed one. I saw your duel as well. The enlightenment that the heaven collapsing esteemed one gave you. I could understand it from a distance as well. Even with a small force, one can overcome a great force. To learn to face the strong as the weak. Wasn't that the overall message? Yes, that's correct. The esteemed one wanted to say the same to me, it seems. She is silent for a moment in the cave, then continues. Receiving the esteemed one's enlightenment made me realize. I was still deluding myself into thinking I was the strong Gyurayan. Her words continue. No, even when I was Gyurayan. More specifically, since the moment I met Xiao Huiol, I was no longer the strong one. Wawoom. She extends her hand into the void. A pale line connected from her pinky finger stretches somewhere into the void. I've just been clinging to Xiao Huiol all along. Yes, from the day I met Xiao Huiol, I was a weakling caught in love. I sat there, deluding myself into thinking I was strong, which is probably why the esteemed one was reluctant to teach me. Yes. Drip, drip. Gyubek sheds tears. I am just a fragment of Gyurayan's broken heart. Merely her remnants. But at the same time, I've deeply inherited her love for Xiao Huiol. At the same time, I've inherited her vast, cold, beautiful agreement. All this time, I've been shouting with my mouth that I wanted to take revenge on Xiao Huiol. But she covers her face with her hands and cries out. At the same time, because I've inherited Gyurayan's heart, I also find myself in love with Xiao Huiol. It scares me so much. How I can hate Xiao Huiol so much, yet at the same time be in love with him. It's terrifying. What should I do with my heart? Tell me, do you know the answer? Gyubek asks, grabbing my hand in her outcry. Yuhua exits towards the entrance of the cave, diverting her gaze from us. I hold Gyubek's hand while listening to her outcry and ask, isn't there something more important than whether you love or hate Xiao Huiol? Question mark. What does Seo Huiol think of Senior Gurion? Isn't this more important? The relationship between people cannot be one-sided. A relationship forms only when one person's action is reciprocated by the other. Gyubek might think she can throw all kinds of actions towards Seo Huiol, but what really matters is whether Seo Huiol will reciprocate her actions. Thinking that Seo Huiol will surely respond to Miss Gyubek's actions is the thought of the strong. But as Senior Gurion herself confirmed, Seo Huiol has no interest in Senior Gurion. Miss Gyubek, you need to accept the fact that you are the weaker party in the relationship with Seo Huiol. Seo Huiol has no interest in you, and Miss Gyubek should not worry about how to react to Seo Huiol, but whether Seo Huiol will even consider you. At my words, Gyubek's pupils dilate. What do you want me to do? Miss Gyubek, right now it seems like you're screaming in front of me because you're too afraid to confirm the answer you've already come up with. I look into Gyubek's eyes and speak. Please, tell me the answer you've thought of. What answer have you come up with? You're right. Gyubek bites her lip hard. I am. Yes. Right now, it's not important whether I love or hate Seo Huiol, but whether Seo Huiol will even consider me. You're right. Her words continue. I have decided. As you said, I'll learn the heart path method. By learning the heart path method, I'll meet Seo Huiol again somehow. And I will properly confirm Seo Huiol's feelings. That's commendable. I nod, affirming Gyubek's resolve. From that day on, I began teaching martial arts to Gyubek. Extend your hand like this. It's impossible to teach Gyubek internal energy methods. Though she took on a human form, she is a byproduct of Gurion, a being born from the life force of the 4-axis stage Earth tribe demon. Her meridians and energy channels are completely different from those of humans. She only looks human on the outside. But resembling a human in appearance means that she can learn martial arts that require an outward form. Under my guidance, Gyubek moves her limbs to gather chi and practices the martial arts I taught her. The martial art I taught Gyubek was named Dragon Form Soaring Claw. It's a claw technique modeled on the movement of dragons. Wawung, Bowung, Wawung. Under my guidance, Gyubek made significant progress in learning the Dragon Form Soaring Claw at a remarkable speed. It's easy to learn. Isn't the heart path method nothing special? It's thanks to your talent, Miss Gyubek. Well, that must be it. Driven by the sole desire to meet Seo Huiol again, she trained in the Dragon Form Soaring Claw like a madwoman. Of course, there is an obvious reason why she could learn the Dragon Form Soaring Claw so quickly. After all, the martial art I created was based on the movements of Gurion's true body. It isn't just a metaphor. It is a martial art literally created by observing the movements of Gurion, who belong to the Golden Dragon race. As such, there can't have been a martial art more suitable for Gyubek, a fragment of Gurion. It isn't about teaching her a new martial art, but about reproducing her original movements through martial arts. Besides training her in the most suitable martial art for her, she truly trained day and night, tirelessly practicing the Dragon Form Soaring Claw, all for the sole purpose of meeting Seo Huiol again. Thus, 10 years passed in the lower realm. Kagugugu. Krrrr. Keek. Kiek. In the tranquil forest, a loud explosion resounds, and a tree falls, scattering the animals nearby as they scream and disperse in all directions. At the base of that tree, there stood a woman in a robe, is dusting off her hands. Congratulations. You've already mastered the Dragon Form Soaring Claw to the point where you can use Claw Gang. She is Gyubek. Gyubek, hearing my praise, snorts and flexes her fingers. Boom. Golden energy sharply gathers on her fingertips, revealing Claw Gang. But she shows no sign of happiness. It's only now, through rehabilitation training, that I've been able to manifest pure spiritual force again. Even then, I'm far from being able to manifest it without the need for specific techniques. Pure spiritual force isn't what's important, Miss Gyubek. I exclaim in admiration as I observe the dozens of intents she emits. What's important is that you've already reached 3 flowers gather at the summit. Gyubek's determination is astonishing. Even with her optimal affinity for Dragon Form Soaring Claw and my direct teaching, it is unbelievable that she reached 3 flowers gather at the summit in such a short period. As expected from a fragment of Gurion who almost reached the integration stage. Talent, as varied as it appears, ultimately finds a way to connect. Moreover, Gurion is a yellow dragon who completed the 4-axis stage through heterodox axis foundation, not by slaughtering lower-level cultivators, but by defeating 4 cultivators of the same realm to reach grand perfection in the 4-axis stage. Thus, her experience in actual combat is enormous, and Gyubek, inheriting that experience, is adapting to martial arts at a significant pace. With this momentum, you might reach 5 energies converging to the origin and even ultimate pinnacle within a few decades. Flattery is unnecessary. Nothing is more nonsensical than only managing to succeed in rehabilitation training over decades. Of course, she seems to think of martial arts as just rehabilitation training. Anyway, with this rate, maybe we can ascend within the time originally planned. Despite being dropped into the lower realm by Xiao Huiol, my objectives for this life still hold. Before the true immortal descends to the golden divine heavenly thunder sect, ascend and steal the heavenly lightning banner. Especially since the golden divine heavenly thunder sect has a time limit, it is crucial to ascend as soon as possible to steal the heavenly lightning banner. I can ascend now if I want to. I am wearing Yuan Yu as usual, and I have fully recovered my nascent soul stage cultivation. Additionally, with the power of Tying contained in the Black Dragon's true blood, I am also cultivating the Yin spirit. I will likely finish the early nascent soul stage soon and challenge the middle stage. With the strength of my body now, I can withstand the spatial pressure even if my cultivation is below the heavenly being stage. I already know the orthodox method of ascension. Just ride a spatial rift in the astral realm and fly towards the coordinates of the bright cold realm. I already know the coordinates of the bright cold realm, so there is no problem. However, I can't simply waste the precious opportunity to receive guidance from the heaven collapsing esteemed one. I've recently come to understand the deficiencies in martial arts that I hadn't noticed before while receiving guidance from Jangik. Yua briefly reached the third stage of manifestation previously. According to her, she is in the process of maturing her understanding of last quarter, and I am rushing towards the edge of treading heavens, gradually getting a feel for the realm beyond treading heavens. If I leisurely cultivate for about 600 years, I think I can reach beyond treading heavens. But there are tasks to be accomplished in this life, so I can't afford to waste time on such matters. It's already the 20th year of regression. The true immortal of the golden divine heavenly thunder sect appears around the 70th to 80th year of regression. So, I have about 50 years left to cultivate with ease. Within 50 years, I will ascend again with Yuhua and Gubek. This time upon ascending, I intended to give Xiao Huiol a proper hit in the face. Wait for me, Xiao Huiol. And so, time flowed like water, and finally the 70th year of regression arrived. Chirp, chirp, chirp. Gubek, Yuhua, Jangik, and I arrive at a swamp teeming with monkeys. This planet doesn't have any particularly civilized intelligent beings. There are a few demon beasts, but since the planet itself is sparse in spiritual energy, they aren't abundant. However, not being abundant doesn't mean they are non-existent. The demon beast we encountered today is of such kind. Who dares to disturb the territory of this elder? A booming voice in demon beast language resounds as a giant monkey, at the Grand Perfection Chi building stage, bursts out from within the swamp. I look at the monkey and signal to Gubek. Gubek nods and takes a deep breath. Ho! Behind her, 9 spheres rise up. Wying. Simultaneously, the 9 spheres begin to rotate behind her. In an instant, they melt into Gubek's domain of consciousness. Hot. Gubek's domain of consciousness begins to transform. Chapter 206, Shattered Heart, 5. For 50 years, Gubek underwent hellish training ad nauseum. At first, I guided her by myself. But as time passed, Jangik also began to guide her, and her skills started to improve dramatically. Somehow, she managed to reach the extreme of ultimate pinnacle with guidance from both me and Jangik. In the meantime, there was a minor incident where Jangik took the secret of ultimate pinnacle from me. But anyway, she reached ultimate pinnacle and was now on the verge of beyond the path to heavens. However, she ultimately failed to properly enter beyond the path to heavens. Boom. Gubek's gang spheres overlap with her consciousness domain, causing it to change. Gurgling, gurgling. Gubek's unstable consciousness domain suddenly transforms into something resembling ropes or chains before collapsing. What is this? Are you joking? The owner of the territory, the monkey demon, frustratedly beats its chest watching Gubek's actions. Gubek sighs for a moment before bending her fingers. Crack. Bright yellow gang chi forms at the tip of her fingers. Shortly after, gang chi resembling a yellow dragon surges from Gubek's entire body. What is this pure spiritual force? Were you a chi building stage demon? But to this body that has reached core formation. The next moment, Gubek, accelerating her consciousness with gang spheres, charges at the monkey demon like a bolt of lightning and attacks. She resembles a wild beast. The dragon form Soaring Claw is originally based on the movements of the dragon race, a divine lineage among the demon races. Since the dragon form Soaring Claw was created based on Gurion's combat style, it naturally includes her inherently wild fighting style when she fought in her true form. Kagugugu. Gubek's dragon form Soaring Claw grazes the monkey demon. It attacks like a fierce dragon, but since it is also a martial art, it applies pressure while adjusting its intensity, revealing the subtlety of martial arts and achieving great effects with little effort. After 50 years, the dragon form Soaring Claw performed by her hands has significantly evolved from the original version I had created. Beck adapted it to her style, and several adjustments were made based on Jangek's advice. Anyway, befitting a fragment of a quasi-integration stage dragon, Beck quickly subdues the monkey demon. Kuhuk. SP spare me. The monkey demon, losing its initial ferocity, begs Beck for its life. Beck finally retracts her gang chi and descends from above the monkey demon. How about that? You've greatly improved. To my compliment, Beck crosses her arms and snorts. I've told you many times, it's just rehabilitation. Yes, yes. While watching her, Jangek approaches. When you charge at an opponent, widen the gap between your feet a bit more, and pay more attention to the synchronization of your intent while using pure spiritual force. Yes. While Beck is receiving a lecture from Jangek, I approached the monkey demon and handed a formation flag I had created. Look here, fellow Taoist. I heard you're the chief of the monkeys around here. That's true, but could you ask the monkeys to plant this formation flag right in the center of the swamp, where the spiritual energy is most abundant? The monkey demon, glancing cautiously at Beck, who had beaten it, nods. I understand, yes. Good, then I'm counting on you. And, just so you know, don't try any funny business. Kagugugu. After exerting the pressure of my nascent soul's spiritual energy on the monkey demon, its complexion turns pale and it nods frantically. Yes, how could there be any issues, Senior? I will follow your orders without question. After entrusting the friendly monkeys with the installation of the formation, I approach Beck, who is listening to Jangek's nagging, and Yuhua. With today's setup, the last formation is in place. It's really time to prepare. All right, I understand. Good. Together with Jangek, we arrive at the wasteland where we first landed. We reach the location of Gurion's corpse. Wawoon. Gurion's corpse is as large as a mountain range, still covering the entire wasteland with its enormous size. Beck looks at Gurion's corpse with a complicated expression. Even 50 years later, Gurion's corpse still boasts its former dignity despite being dried up from being drained of blood. The golden scales that Gurion was proud of have not faded at all, and her claws are still as sharp as if she were alive. However, her two horns are missing, having been torn off by Xiao Huiol. After staring at Gurion's corpse for a while, Beck bites her lip. So, when will we ascend? The formations will activate simultaneously this evening. That's when we should make our move. Got it. Beck seems troubled as she looks at Gurion's corpse. With a complicated look, she disappears somewhere. It's time to say goodbye. Yes, I have been greatly indebted to the esteemed one during this time. It's nothing. I actually found it quite entertaining to teach you too amidst my uninteresting tasks. Before long, I have reached the extreme of treading heavens under Jangek's guidance, and am starting to grasp the enlightenment beyond. Yuhua, under Jangek, successfully reached the final moon of last quarter that she so desired. Beck is also gradually looking towards beyond the path to heavens. Perhaps, Beck won't be able to reach the first step of fighting spirit. Jangek clicks his tongue as he looks at the spot where Beck vanished. Her heart essence is still too chaotic, and although she has a strong desire, it has not been integrated into any single concept. But, didn't the esteemed one see it? The momentary change in Miss Beck's consciousness domain. At my question, Jangek shakes his head as if it is absurd. That's not fighting spirit. It would be more appropriate to call it a consciousness method. No, not a consciousness method, but perhaps a ritual of the Heaven tribe? Or should it be called a supernatural ability through ancient secret arts? Jangek continues. What Beck has formed is an obsession with the vast cold beautiful agreement that is still connected to her. She has not properly refined her heart essence to step into the first step of fighting spirit, only showing something similar to the first step of fighting spirit, because her mind and body have merged into the ancient secret art known as the vast cold beautiful agreement. Then, does that mean she can exert beyond the path to heavens in the presence of a target related to the vast cold beautiful agreement? A first step of fighting spirit that only exerts its effect on a specific target. Such manifestation isn't non-existent, but she relies too much on her vast cold beautiful agreement. The vast cold beautiful agreement is an ancient secret art that was discarded because its activation condition could not be found. So if she can't activate the vast cold beautiful agreement, she can't properly activate manifestation either. It's a useless half-baked manifestation. Jangek clicks his tongue, seeming displeased with Beck. Beck found the clue to beyond the path to heavens. However, the beyond the path to heavens she reached is a peculiar one that heavily depends on her remaining obsession and vast cold beautiful agreement with Xiao Huiol for activation. If Xiao Huiol is not present, it doesn't activate properly. And even if it does activate, it's incomplete as the activation conditions for the vast cold beautiful agreement were lost in ancient times. It's unusable in normal times. In short, it is something born from Beck's bizarre obsession with Xiao Huiol, difficult even to call beyond the path to heavens. But if Gubek faces Co Huiol alone and satisfies the conditions for Beyond the Path to Heavens, limited to Co Huiol, perhaps Gubek's Beyond the Path to Heavens can become a terrifying one that Co Huiol can never escape. The unique Beyond the Path to Heavens Gubek obtained, longing for a meeting with Co Huiol, only affecting Co Huiol. That is Gubek's Beyond the Path to Heavens. How unique. I think it's quite interesting, approaching Gurion's corpse to stroke its scales. Now that the day of departure is approaching, may I ask the esteemed one a few questions? Ask away. I asked the heaven-collapsing esteemed one the questions I have been curious about. How are the Heart Tribe's realms divided? To what extent can the Heart Tribe grow? There are the first, second, and third manifestations corresponding to core formation, nascent soul, and heavenly being respectively. Or as I say, fighting spirit first, second, and third steps. There are 3 steps beyond this too. 3 steps, you say? Yes. The first step corresponds to the 4-axis and integration stages. The second step to the star-shattering and sacred vessel stages. Finally, the third step corresponds to the entering nirvana stage. Are these 3 steps simply the names for the stages beyond the third manifestation stage? It varies. For someone like Yuhua, it's termed as the first, middle, and final moons beyond the current realm. For me, I refer to it as 3 steps before the throne. You mentioned the third step corresponds to the entering nirvana stage. Then, do you not know the stage corresponding to the true immortal realm? Unfortunately, I do not. I was the one who conceived the concept of these 3 steps. Since it was not a concept I received through teachings from someone else, I am unaware of higher stages. I see. Understood. He looks at me with his arms crossed. Is there anything else you wish to ask? Yes. May I inquire about one more thing? Proceed. I take a moment of silence before carefully asking Jangik. I've heard that except for the Bloodine realm, all high-ranking esteemed ones in the middle realms are currently on an expedition. They are said to be searching for something in the astral realm, something to do with the decaying corpse realm. That's not incorrect. If it's not too presumptuous, may I ask what it is you are searching for? Well, it's not a big secret, so I'll tell you. He speaks lightly, as if it's not a significant secret. However, the continuation of Jangik's words surprises me. Currently, all the esteemed ones from across the realms are gathering to enter the place where the remains of the notorious lightning immortal, Yang Sujin, from 120,000 years ago, are located. Lightning immortal, Yang Sujin's remains. Yes, some of Yang Sujin's remains are scattered across the astral realm, and some of those drifting in the astral realm have transformed into the decaying corpse realm. Decaying corpse realm. Apparently, the decaying corpse realm is like a lower realm created from the fragments of a true immortal's corpse. 40,000 years ago, many cultivators went down to the head realm where he was said to have died, trying to find Yang Sujin's remains. But upon realizing that his remains were not there, numerous high-level cultivators scoured all of the heavens and earth and finally located traces of Yang Sujin. Why such obsession with Yang Sujin's traces? Yang Sujin, during his lifetime, took items of enormous value from each middle realm. No, borrowed them and did not return them. Those items are of immense importance to each middle realm, so they are trying to retrieve them from him. It seems he is deliberately not mentioning what those items are. Yang Sujin had inserted the core treasures of the middle realms into his immortal treasure, and finding his remains would pave the way to reaching that immortal treasure. Yang Sujin's immortal treasure. Are you referring to that? I suddenly think of the Heavenly Lightning Banner. Could it be the Heavenly Lightning Banner? But Jangik just chuckles and shakes his head. The Heavenly Lightning Banner is not Yang Sujin's immortal treasure. While it's true he used it, legend has it that he forcefully took it from a distinguished entity in the true immortal realm. I'm just thinking out loud here, but the being from whom Yang Sujin stole the immortal treasure must be waiting with tears for the day they can reclaim it. Hurrah! It's a story that can't be ignored. If what he said is true, then the true immortal that will descend upon the golden divine heavenly thunder sect soon might be the distinguished entity from the true immortal realm with a deep grudge against Yang Sujin. I thought just taking the Heavenly Lightning Banner and plugging it into Hien Iwem's mouth would solve the problem. Perhaps, the moment the true immortal descends, all factions inheriting Yang Sujin's legacy might be doomed. I asked Jangik several more questions I am curious about. Finally, time passes and a day goes by. Next to Gurion's corpse, I feel the formation I had set up all over the planet begin to activate. Wawoom, Gebek and Yuhua gather towards me as well. The sparse spiritual energy of the entire planet, flowing through the planet's dragon veins, are drawn towards us. Though originally sparse, the concentration of spiritual energy momentarily becomes even denser than in the mainlands of the bright cold realm once gathered in one place. Keying, I form a seal at the center of the spiritual veins and begin to open a spatial rift. Kugagugagu. For 50 years, a formation was created for the sole purpose of ascending to the Bright Cold Realm. The Return to Bright Cold Realm Formation. I control the Return to Bright Cold Realm Formation and greet Jangek's avatar, who is watching us from the side. Thank you for everything during this time. Yes, everyone has worked hard. Co Eunhyun, there's nothing particular I need to say to you. If you continue to cultivate diligently, you will reach the third step of fighting spirit, the third stage of manifestation. Jangek looks over at us one by one. Yuhua, you've reached the last stage of last quarter, but your realm is still not stable. Right after ascending, you will be under the control of the heaven and earth tribes at the Flying Immortal platform, so be on your guard. Even if you're capable in many against one, and Co Eunhyun has taught you the record of transcending cultivation and exhausting martial arts, be cautious in a place bustling with 4-axis stage cultivators. There will also be an integration stage grand cultivator at the Heaven-Earth Palace anyway. If you use the method I taught you, even the grand cultivator of the Heaven-Earth Palace can't easily mess with you. After giving advice to Yuhua, he turns his gaze to Gyubek. Gyubek, to be honest, you were the worst of those I've taught. It's not a problem of talent, but rather your state of mind. Duh. You always think of yourself as trash, but in some sense, you are indeed honored Master Gyurayan herself. That can't be. Humph. Contemplating the essence of existence to reach the realm is what the Heart Tribe does. Are you saying you can't believe the words of a star-shattering esteemed one from the Heart Tribe? Duh. You've always thought of yourself as trash, entangled in love and hatred for that guy Seo Huiol, and your mind is a mess. But Jangek places his hand on her shoulder and smiles. Leaving the heaven, earth, and heart tribes aside. As a senior, I hope you find happiness. Wawoom. Jangek infuses something into her heart essence. Now off you all go? It was a short but enjoyable meeting. Wawoom. After activating the Return to Bright Cold Realm formation, I bow to Jangek. Yuhua and Gyubek also pay their respects in their own ways. After paying respects to Jangek, I look at Gyurayan's corpse. Gyubek also looks at Gyurayan's corpse. Gyubek claimed herself to be a piece, a shattered fragment of Gyurayan. Therefore, according to her, the real Gyurayan is dead. The corpse of Gyurayan we see today will be the last image of Gyurayan I will remember in this life. Rest in peace, Senior Gyu. Thank you for everything. I also bow in my heart towards Gyurayan. At the same time, the Return to Bright Cold Realm formation shines brightly, propelling us beyond space. Pot. Yuhua, having reached the stage corresponding to Heavenly Being, begins to ascend. Gyubek and I stick close to her, starting to resist the spatial pressure. Thus, 60 years after being betrayed by Seo Huiol, we begin our ascension to return. Chapter 207, Lightning Flash, 1. Pot. With a bright light, we are released into the void under the spatial pressure. Simultaneously, the Return to Bright Cold Realm formation shines, syncing with the coordinates of the Bright Cold Realm I had entered into the formation. We are forcefully launched towards the Bright Cold Realm, with Yuhua protecting us from the tremendous spatial pressure. Kagugugu. Among the Heavenly Being stage cultivators, those more skilled take on the spatial pressure for others, bringing them along in their ascension. Such Heavenly Being stage cultivators face even greater pressure than what they are supposed to bear, often causing their faces to distort due to the effort. This is also true for Yuhua, who is ascending with me, a nascent soul stage cultivator, and Gyubek, who is practically no different from a mortal. While I support her with life force from behind to prevent her from collapsing during our ascension, Yua's face is still terribly contorted from the pain and spatial pressure. Kururum. Each time her melody, now akin to a heavenly tribulation, resonates, a crimson river surges upwards and shakes off the spatial pressure. Whenever your energy wanes, let me know. I will take over. I'm still fine. Being a nascent soul stage cultivator of both the heaven and earth tribes, and having achieved treading heavens, I am robust enough to withstand more than the average Heavenly Being cultivator, allowing us to take turns. Clinging to her back, I observe the surrounding scenery. The beautiful stars of the astral realm scatter beneath us, passing by below. Swallowing my saliva, I wonder, if we ascend this time, perhaps the point of regression might become fixed again. The criteria for fixing the regression point is inscrutable, no matter how much I think about it. Crossing dimensions, for instance, did not change the return point when I went to the true devil realm. Then, would ascending fix the point? Let's just go and see. Whether the point is fixed or not, I have done my best in everything I could. In my life so far, there's nothing I'm ashamed of. Even if it becomes fixed, let's just be grateful and move forward. After a while, Yuhua asks to switch, and we take turns enduring the spatial pressure head-on. 3 days might have passed when, suddenly, pot, far away, I feel a familiar flow of spiritual energy. I breathe vitality into Yuhua. It's just the beginning. Be alert. Yes. Pot. Squinting at the rays of light visible from afar, I brace myself for the impact of the dimensional barrier soon to envelop us. Formless sword. I raise my formless sword upright and plunge into the dimensional barrier. Shortly after, flash, we finally succeed in our ascension, returning to the bright cold realm. Hot. SSSHD. Familiar spiritual energy. The scarce spiritual energy of the lower realms felt so sparse in comparison to the ocean-like heaven and earth spiritual energy that now envelopes my body. As I look around, a 4-axis stage cultivator dressed in familiar clothes approaches. Welcome. This place is the flying immortal platform of the Heaven-Earth Palace in the bright cold realm. You are. Then, after scanning my cultivation, he looks over Quebec and Yuhua behind me. No, one nascent soul and one chi building stage, and that one a slave race. His casual mention of Quebec as a slave race momentarily sparks rage in Quebec's eyes. What are you? How did you ascend? Are you monsters that live in the void? The next moment, Yuhua smiles softly and begins to play her instrument. To him, her performance, though profoundly beautiful to those who listen properly, sounds merely like thunder to those who only sense the phenomenon. The nearby 4-axis stage cultivator's faces twist in horror at the sight of the crimson river and the sound of thunder around her. A heart tribe spy. Just kill her first. It's the 3rd stage manifestation heart path method. Everyone avoid it. The next moment, crimson lightning scatters in all directions. Screams can be heard not only from the heavenly being cultivators, but also from the 4-axis cultivators. While the attack of illusory player under the rosy afterglow is equivalent to a heavenly being's power, it doesn't threaten 4-axis cultivators. However, for those who have to face heavenly tribulation with each advancement, facing Yuhua now means giving up on their future cultivation unless they are exceedingly confident. A commanding voice rallies the 4-axis stage cultivators. Everyone, regain your senses. All of you, form a wheel battle formation around that heart tribe spy and approach. It doesn't matter if you get hit a few times. Heaven-Earth Palace will provide talismans and elixirs that aid in surviving heavenly tribulation. Hearing this, the 4-axis cultivators who have been clumsily avoiding Yuhua's attacks regroup and begin preparing their spells. Not even a heart tribe member at the 3rd stage of manifestation can safely face multiple 4-axis cultivators. However, now then, I grab Yuhua's shoulder from behind and swing my arm towards the void. The formless sword, unified with treading heavens, severs consciousness in the air. Not just consciousness, but energy, and not just energy, but our very life force is momentarily cut in an instant, making us disappear from the 4-axis stage cultivator's sight as we swiftly ascend to the sky. Be careful. The entire Heaven-Earth Palace is surrounded by barriers. That over there is the exit from the Heaven-Earth Palace to the Skyway. Quebec points to a spot where clouds are split into the shape of a pair of wings. It's the path previously taken by Gurion when she carried the newly ascended demon race on her body. Hearing her words, Yuhua and I change direction and safely escape from the barrier of the Heaven-Earth Palace. With that, we successfully ascended and escaped the flying immortal platform. Now, where will you go? Yuhua transforms into the familiar shape of a crimson river, landing on a nearby mountain range, and asks us. I will return to the True Dragon Alliance first to check on the movements of Seo Huiol and the situation of my disciple, Baek Nyong. Then, I'll follow and help check on Seo Huiol's movements as well. Upon hearing Yuhua's words, Quebec decides to follow her. I respond. As for me, I have some business in the human territory side, so I'll be there for a while. Go ahead, then. Let's meet again later. After saying goodbye to Quebec and Yuhua, I quickly part ways with them. This is just the beginning. Before the true immortal who intends to take the heavenly lightning banner descends, I will head to the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder Sect to steal the immortal treasure and head to the Earth Tribe territory. Of course, if the true immortal has a grudge against Yang Sujin and still decides to curse the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder Sect, there's not much I can do. Nonetheless, I decide to do what I can for now. It can't be too early or too late. If I steal the immortal treasure too early before the true immortal arrives, it would be inefficient, as I'd have to run away with the treasure for too long. If I steal it just before the true immortal arrives, I might be the only one struck by lightning before I can insert the treasure into the jaws of Seo Huiol or Hien Yum. I'll steal the treasure just in time to place it in the Earth Tribe territory, or in the territory of Seo Huiol or the Black Dragon King. The reason I didn't immediately steal the Heavenly Lightning Banner while under Seo Huiol was not only because my spirit was becoming exhausted under his scrutiny, but also because of the timing. Stealing the immortal treasure decades earlier would have meant being chased by the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder Sect for those same decades. I plan as I fly towards the human territory. First, I need to go to Thunder Spirit Island to find out everything about the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder Sect. The location, characteristics, and appearance of the Heavenly Lightning Banner. Who is guarding it, and so on. If I know where it is, what it looks like, and how to transport it, the Heavenly Lightning Banner will fall to my hands. It's funny, but my abilities are somewhat focused on thievery. The formless sword can unlock locks without anyone noticing, and the record of transcending cultivation and exhausting martial arts allows me to stroll distances unnoticed. Additionally, by creating a cursed doll with the Een Soul Ghost incantation, I can manipulate the cursed doll to confuse those investigating, and the power of Tyene possessed by the Black Dragon's true blood makes my presence significantly fainter at night. Moreover, the majority of the methods I've mastered are of the Earth attribute. Since it's an attribute that's in stark opposition to lightning, there probably won't be anyone from the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect who can stop me. Alright, let's go steal the Heavenly Lightning Banner. I steel my heart and head towards the human territory to Thunder Spirit Island. Kurung, Kurung. Near Thunder Spirit Island, dark clouds constantly flash, and thunder roars from all around. I use the record of transcending cultivation and exhausting martial arts to hide my presence and approach the vicinity of Thunder Spirit Island. Wawoom. Thunder Spirit Island, like other human sky islands, is surrounded by a large barrier to prevent outsiders from entering. If a human not registered at Temporal Fate Island carelessly crosses the barrier, they will face trouble. But I, without worry, touch the barrier. Wawoom. It seems as though the barrier wants to resist, but I begin laying down the circuits of the Mad Lord on the barrier. A very small part of the barrier transforms into one of the Mad Lord's puppets. Open. Click. I easily open the barrier's door and enter, surveying my surroundings. This is Thunder Spirit Island. Woom woom. It isn't a dark feeling. However, clouds float everywhere with blue or yellow lightning flashing within. Let's gather some information first. I infiltrate the market on Thunder Spirit Island to gather information about the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect and the Heavenly Lightning Banner. A few days later, my investigation of the Heavenly Lightning Banner and Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect proves quite fruitful. The Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect established its position by pushing out the previously dominant Supreme Thunder Spirit sect. Rumors were widespread throughout Thunder Spirit Island that Jin Byuk-ho of the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect killed an elder of the Supreme Thunder Spirit sect who was at the 4-axis stage in one strike. That elder was probably Yun Wei, and Yuan Wei, inhabiting the body of her descendant Yun Jin, should be in the true devil realm. The Heavenly Lightning Banner, the sacred artifact of the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect, is kept in a shrine on the highest peak of Thundercloud Peak where the sect was established. Normally, only the sect leader can retrieve it. Of course, the Council of Elders can also retrieve the Heavenly Lightning Banner, but in principle, the Heavenly Lightning Banner is managed by the sect leader. The Heavenly Lightning Banner is mainly taken out during sect rituals. Normally, the security around the Heavenly Lightning Banner is tight, but it actually becomes a bit lax after the rituals. The shrine where the Heavenly Lightning Banner is sealed is guarded by the highest-ranking disciples of the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect, taking turns on watch. Their cultivation realms are filled with nascent soul stage cultivators, much like the disciples of the Azure Heaven Creation sect. The security won't be a problem. If necessary, I can push through and take it by force. The problem is that the place where the Heavenly Lightning Banner is sealed, Thundercloud Peak, is the central peak of the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect. If I take the Heavenly Lightning Banner, the Heavenly Being stage elders practicing nearby will be furious and charge at me. In fact, that doesn't matter. After all, I plan to steal it while revealing my horns and scales by activating the Black Dragon's true blood. It's a dragon's doing, after all. If I get caught stealing, the dragon race will take the blame, not me. My biggest concern right now is Jin Byuk-ho, the current sect leader of the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect and the only 4-axis stage cultivator. Was killing Grand Perfection 4-axis stage Yun Wei due to Jin Byuk-ho's individual capability, or was it a stroke of luck because of the Heavenly Lightning Banner? If it's the latter, then I can just beat Jin Byuk-ho up and steal it. However, if it's the former, it complicates matters significantly. The best method is to disguise myself as a disciple of the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect, get close to the shrine, steal the Heavenly Lightning Banner, and then disappear quickly with the record of transcending cultivation and exhausting martial arts. That is the cleanest way. So, what will be the most efficient way to disguise myself as a disciple? I begin to investigate the disciples of the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect as well. Roaming the territories near the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect, I observe the disciples, learning about their behavior, characteristics, and backgrounds, while I'm digging into the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect for several weeks. During that time, I stiffen upon seeing a familiar face of a man walking affectionately with a woman. It's been a while, John Myung-hoon. Since the day we fell to this world, and he was kidnapped by the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect. I see John Myung-hoon looking the happiest I have ever seen him. He is walking down the street, chatting amicably with a woman, seemingly his lover. So he was like this before meeting the true immortal. The discrepancy is too great. He looks far too different from himself after the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect fell, with disheveled hair, wearing bright red clothes, and the clear bloodstains on his face. If I can't handle the Heavenly Lightning Banner properly, John Myung-hoon will eventually become like that. Although I don't particularly like John Myung-hoon myself, the number of people who will suffer from the descent of the true immortal isn't small. That's why I resolved to save not only John Myung-hoon, but the entirety of Thunder Spirit Island. Let's bring the abomination that is the Heavenly Lightning Banner to someone who can use it better, creating a story where everyone is happy. And to do that, I begin to observe John Myung-hoon. You seem to be the most suitable. I plan to kidnap John Myung-hoon within the next few days. I'll borrow your identity for just a few days, John Myung-hoon.